The wedding hall appears with fresh flowers and candlelight, with melodious music creating an incredibly romantic atmosphere. The bride slowly enters the hall, her white dress flowing gracefully in the wind. Holding a bouquet of fresh flowers, her face radiant with endless joy, the bride is Sue. A wedding with a bride must also have a groom. The groom is walking with his arm linked with Sue's, striding beside her. The groom is Haman. He gives a gentle smile, looking at her with sparkling, adoring eyes. Sue returns his gaze with a look of happiness. While joyfully immersed in the poetic scene, something strange happens. It's not just one person on Sue's arm, but two. She herself is stunned, bewildered, and flabbergasted, looking in panic at the other person. This person coldly nods in greeting. It's Igium, walking down the aisle with two men on her arms. This scene leaves Sue bewildered, her mind filled with question marks, 1,000 whys appearing. The two men on her arms act as if it's completely natural, without any hesitation, while she is spinning in confusion. Sue's mind gradually becomes chaotic, sweat pouring down her face. Then, the officiant's words ring out, "I will now begin the wedding ceremony for the three of you." Witnessing this shocking turn of events startles Sue so much that she screams the house down, her voice echoing in the skyscraper. Hearing the scream, a strolling kitten is startled, its tail shooting up as it freezes for a moment. Sue bolts upright in bed, panting in fear. Gasp, gasp, gasp. She wakes up from the strange dream, her hair a mess, dotted with sweat. Gosh, to have such a crazy dream. Suddenly, her eyes fly open, her fear doubling from before. The kitten is licking its fur, relaxing in a corner. But it's startled again by Sue's blood-curdling scream as if the sky were falling. One unlucky cat. She looks at her phone screen, which shows the time as 8:51 a.m. Before that, countless alarms had also gone off. The phone seemed to be saying helplessly, "I already tried to wake you." Sue begins her personal hygiene routine at top speed. Hurriedly throwing on a jacket, Sue frantically shouts, "I'm so late." Even so, she still picks up the small cat, causing it to dangle its paws in confusion. Before leaving, Sue can't forget her morning ritual of kissing the cat. Dang, mommy's leaving now. After one kiss, she dashes out the door. While running, she mutters, "I'm going to be late." The little cat can only curl up helplessly and continue to relax. Sue runs to the main road, waving her hand enthusiastically. "Taxi, taxi." A taxi coldly passes her by, the sign showing the word reserved, leaving Sue speechless and heartbroken. She reluctantly books a car on the app, which is requesting a driver up to 20 minutes away. But Sue is very optimistic. She quickly regains her composure, sighs, and says, "I guess this is it." Sue makes a very bold choice. Instead of standing still and waiting for a car, she chooses to run like a mad dog to find one herself using the means available to her, her two legs. "My name is Lee Sue." Seeing a taxi that has just dropped off a passenger, she feels like she's seen the light of her life. Sue pants as she peeks into the car window, using her last bit of strength to request, "Please take me to Jiangbakgung Guangwamen. This year, I will turn 29. In the car, Sue urgently pleads with the driver, "Sir, please go as fast as you can." The driver can only reply with a "Yes, yes, I go. Yes, yes." The scene changes to a long line of people waiting. It's unclear what event has gathered such a large and cheerful crowd. A child holds their mother's hand, whining and pleading, "Mommy, when are you going to buy me Tonghulu?" Mommy is busy waiting in line, and you're still making a fuss. The mother gently replies, "Just bear with it a little longer. I'll buy it for you after I get this." So, like many other ill-behaved children, the boy throws a tantrum, rolling around on the ground to get his way, leaving his mother flustered and shocked. "Wah, buy me Tonghulu right now." The boy's mother is very gentle, so instead of disciplining him with a firm hand, she has to pick him up and softly coax him. "All right, let's go get Tonghulu." The mother and son are slowly leaving when they suddenly stop. For a moment, Sue appears and gives a friendly smile, while also making a gesture asking them to be quiet. She gives the two of them a small book with her own signature. Seeing this, the mother and son are so happy their eyes sparkle. Brightly, Sue waves goodbye to the mother and son, and the little boy actively waves back, "Enjoy your Tonghulu." Suddenly, a hurried voice calls out from a distance, "Ryder." The PD rushes over, impatiently reminding Sue, "What are you still doing here?" Sue gives an embarrassed smile in reply. "Oh, PD Nim, all numbers ending in 9 are unlucky." Before she can finish her sentence, she is dragged away by the PD. "Let's go, sorry." The PD quickly brushes Sue's messy hair, gently chiding, "What are we going to do if the writer is late for her own book signing?" Sue can only cry a river, "I'm sorry, but my fate." Once done, The PD pulls back the curtain so Sue can step out. All done. Luckily, it's just in time for the entrance. You should go in now, really lucky. Sue confidently steps out. She is the host of this book signing, the author of Love's Expiration Date, the original work for the drama Love at World's End. Below are countless fans who adore her, so excited that they display a myriad of emoticons. Writer Lee Sue, please register your marriage with us. Sue responds to this enthusiasm by waving to them and smiling brightly. In a terrifying way, Sue starts to make connections. For example, Netflix, Tving, WAV, in an era where the OTT market is popular. The newly emerged work called Love at World's End has garnered immense attention. A series of headlines report on it. The original novel of the drama Love at World's End, the reprinted Love's Expiration Date, is sold out. The Monday through Tuesday drama Love at World's End maintains its #1 rating, with ratings soaring without end. How popular is Love at World's End? The rerun of Love at World's End achieves high ratings. The drama Love at World's End concludes and breaks its own rating record. The drama Love at World's End recently concluded with a peak rating of 21.8%. The crowd forms a long line, the atmosphere incredibly lively and bustling. Sue holds her novel in her hands, unable to help but feel proud. The original work for that drama is my novel, Love's Expiration Date. Thanks to the drama's popularity, the reprinted novel sold out. Now I have both money and fame. I'm also about to enter a happy marriage with the person I love. As she was enthusiastically signing, a deep, warm voice called out, "Sir." His eyes lit up when she saw the person approaching was Heyman. Heyman smiled sweetly. "I'm here." Sue was overjoyed to see him, my fiancé, that handsome man. Se-young Jun and Jimin also pop out to say hello. "Hey, we're here too." "Congratulations." Sue was so moved, she shed tears. She replied with sparkling eyes, "You guys." The whole group went out for a celebratory drink. "Chan, you've worked hard, Sue." Se-young Jun picks up a piece of meat, saying pretentiously, "My love, say, ah." Jimin is no less dramatic. She opens her mouth wide to receive it with a syrupy tone. "Ah." The two of them enthusiastically shove their PDA down Sue's throat, making her annoyed. The food my love feeds me is truly delicious." Hey. Sue can't take any more of their public displays of affection. She speaks up helplessly. "Don't you have hands?" Jimin is still cheeky, turning to tease her. "You're just jealous because your beloved isn't here, right?" Sian also says with a hint of regret, "It would have been nice if he came along." Sue quickly explains on behalf of her lover. "He's busy preparing for his exhibition these days. He just stopped by for a moment to see me." Earlier, the three of them continue to chat back and forth. When is the exhibition? "In 2 weeks. After a while of drinking, Sian suddenly gets up to go to the restroom. Before leaving, he dishes out more PDA. "I'm going to the restroom, honey." Go quickly and come back." Sue sees her two friends being overly sentimental and can only force a smile. "You two have been together for over 10 years, and you're still so affectionate?" Of course, I never get tired of looking at Sian's face. Suddenly, Jimin remembers something and starts a new topic. "Oh, right? Do you remember the class president, Ban Si-guk, from our freshman year? The one with glasses, the one who used to like you in freshman year." Jimin's words shock Sue so much that she spits out all the beer in her mouth. "I heard he's marrying Sujong." Sue can't believe her ears, because in her memory, those two were like fire and water. What? Weren't they sworn enemies? I never would have guessed. Imagining those two being lovey-dovey is truly unsettling. I want to see your angry face every day. So that's why they say you never know what will happen. Just like with you. I didn't know, I just got a face full of your beer. Sue can only force a smile. "Sorry." The two of them go back to their gossip. "Wow, that's amazing, but how did you know about that? Didn't you get an invitation?" Sue quickly falls silent. Jimin immediately tries to smooth things over. It's possible." The two continue to toast. "In high school, you didn't have many close friends, did you?" Sue is quickly lost in reminiscence. "That's true, friends back then." The image of a male student appears, his face blurry and unclear, just you and him. She suddenly remembers her dream from this morning. "That's right. I had a strange dream today." Just then, Sian comes back from the restroom. "What are you two talking about?" Jimin immediately goes back to the marriage topic, leaving Sue unable to tell her story. About Si-guk and Sujong getting married. He didn't get an invitation. Is that so? What timing? Suddenly she realizes something is wrong. "Wait a minute, don't tell me you got one too?" Sian casually replies, "Yeah, it's obvious, isn't it?" This makes her immediately feel left out. Even the guy who was hardly ever in class because he was on the sports team got an invitation. So why didn't I? Seeing Sue's devastation, Sien suddenly adds, oh right, at their wedding, IGM was there too. Hearing this name, Sue suddenly jumps up, her face showing disbelief. What? Sien continues, what about IGM? He's back in Korea, isn't he? Seeing Sue's shocked and shaken expression, he asks, you two haven't been in touch? This question makes her freeze up instantly. Her face darkens, and she's speechless. Sue stumbles a little as she sits down. Jimin sees her unstable condition and asks worriedly, Sue, are you okay? Sue picks up her beer glass, replying curtly, of course I'm fine. When did COIGM? I'm really fine. The restaurant door suddenly opens. Heyman runs over, out of breath, his face worried. Sue. The other two look at him with sparkling eyes. Appa, Appa. Heyman is out of breath, struggling to speak. Sue. The pile of bottles on the table must be Sue's handiwork, and she is hidden by them. Over here, sorry. Heyman hurriedly looks under the table. On the floor is Sue, sprawled out in a heap, still tipsy from the alcohol. Underneath, she is in a sweet dream, even drooling. I'm sorry. We tried to pull her out, but she kept crawling back under. On the way back, Jimin walks and scolds. Why did you have to talk about unnecessary things there? Sai, really? Sien still doesn't get it, asking blankly, what? Huh? Are you really asking because you don't know? Si Ui Yim. Over here, Heyman has carried Sue home. He gently lays her down while Sue is still sound asleep. He watches her sleep with a happy smile. He's Sue's first love. After all, Heyman's eyes clearly show love and care. 29. He bends down to pull the blanket over her, not forgetting to whisper, I love you, Sue. Before the number 9 reaches the complete number 10. Numbers ending in 9 signify an incomplete state. I was really lucky with the number 9, but that was until that guy showed up. Night falls, making the lake's surface visibly calm. There is a duck boat still floating on the lake. Sue sits in the duck boat, her expression quite tense. My damn first love, who rejected my confessions for 19 years. That guy appeared before me after 6 years. That too. IGM suddenly turns his face, saying in a serious tone, Sue, let's get married. Sue is instantly hit by this double whammy. She freezes on the spot. Huh? What? 3 months before the wedding with another man. He even puts on a very scary, threatening face. If not, then you die. A million question marks fly around in Sue's head. Her face is about to turn into a question mark itself. Huh? Along with the confession that could be a threat or a proposal. IGM continues to lean in close to Sue's face. If not, you die. Sue shows a face of extreme confusion, suspecting that the person in front of her has a mental problem. So, to explain why things turned out like this. That morning, 8 hours before the incident, Sue drags herself out of the house in a terrible state. I goo my head. She sees Heyman's back as he cooks in the kitchen. Appa? Heyman turns his head, flashing a perfect boyfriend material smile. You're awake? After eating so cleanly that the bowl is sparkling, Sue smiles brightly and rubs her stomach. Ugh, I feel alive again. Heyman looks at her hearty appetite with a happy face. Sue covers her face shyly. I look terrible right now. Don't look. Heyman, ever the romantic, sweetly replies, what are you talking about? You're beautiful. Sue, with her messy hair, gives an embarrassed laugh. Your taste is really unique. Sunlight streams in from the balcony. The clothes are hung up to dry, creating a peaceful atmosphere. Sue lies on Heyman's lap as he cleans her ears. She exclaims happily, I must have saved the country 5,000 times in my past life. At least on the level of General Lee. Sun Sin, even though she's clumsy and not good at cooking, Heyman is there to handle it for her. Let me do it. Aren't you bad at cutting things like that? Jahang curls up, listening to the two talk. What does what he said have to do with not knowing how to cook? Wow, that's amazing. Heyman continues to clean her ears. It's dangerous. Just lie still for a bit. Where, let me see too. Suddenly Heyman wonders, but why are you suddenly talking about a past life? Hearing his question, Sue sits up in a flash. She pats his cheek, wearing a very proud expression. No, I must have some kind of good fortune to have met someone like you. Hearing this, Heyman puffs out his cheeks and replies no. The two share a kiss straight out of a romance novel. I must be the one who saved the country because I met you, Sue. The scene changes to Sue's office. She stares at the computer screen in front of her. Leaning her head against the chair, Sue thinks for a long time. The phone on the table suddenly vibrates. What should I write for my new work? Sue quickly answers the phone, thinking the person on the other end is Heyman. You miss me already? Yeah, you. But the voice that comes through is the opposite of what she thought. Sue. As soon as she hears that voice, Sue seems to freeze on the spot. She jumps up immediately, staring at the phone in her hand. A book on the table falls, revealing a photograph. The voice quickly continues, "If you have time now, let's meet." It's a picture of Sue and her childhood friend, just the two of us. That's the reason for this duck paddling scene on the lake right now. Sue sits huddled in fear. So, she silently reassures herself, "I must be crazy because I was so flustered I said I'd come out first." Now, what does there talk about? She looks at IGM and assesses him, but this guy hasn't changed at all. CO IGM is my first love. They met right after birth. We were born on the same day, at the same time, in the same maternity hospital. How could we even be born at the same hour? Ho ho ho, that's right. If this isn't fate, what is? Ho ho ho. We became partners in misery as soon as we were born with this fate. In kindergarten, I liked IGM that much. In response to Sue's affection is his judgmental look. Sue kneels and says sincerely, "Marry me," since we were little. She looks at him with sparkling, expectant eyes. But IGM cruelly shows a helpless expression, of course. He crushes the ring she offered in one hand. Then, with a disdainful look as if an ant, he replies, "I don't want to." This makes Sue cry her eyes out, but he doesn't. Sue still doesn't give up, clinging to him as stubbornly as an ox. In elementary school, "Hey, I'll give you a bite. Date me." Of course, the result is still the same. IGM coldly replies, "You eat it." This continues for a long time after that. In middle school, come on, you choose. Just studying and being first in the whole school with no fun versus dating Sue and having a happy school life. First in the whole school. In high school, both of them were quite mature by this time. While IGM was being a quiet, pretty boy, his friend came over and said with a laugh, "Hey, CO IGM, look down at the sports field." "Kaka, turns out only you matured." Sue is still as childish as ever. She arranges flower petals into a heart shape, standing below and shouting, "CO IGM." She looks up with sparkling eyes, her hands even making a heart shape, afraid she can't express all her feelings. IGM seems to be used to this scene. He says nothing. Without letting Sue finish her sentence, he decisively slams the door shut. Sue quickly turns to stone, and the sound of endless chatter erupts around her. He's really something. Hey, Leah's something got rejected again. Doesn't she have any self-respect? That's how it was. Remembering that, Sue is now more shocked than ever. "What? You said if I don't marry you, you'll kill me." She starts to tremble all over, sweat pouring down like rain. Is this a TH threat? IGM runs a hand through his hair and sighs deeply. He moves closer to Sue. "Do you really want to die?" Sue is frightened by these words, her face turning pale. Her current movements seem to be quite unbalanced. Seeing this, IGM has to quickly grab her hand. That's dangerous. Taking the opportunity, he pulls Sue into his arms. "Come here, I'm not going to eat you." His eyes are fixed on Sue. Silence envelopes the two of them. To break the atmosphere, Sue quickly makes an announcement, "I'm getting married soon." Beyond her expectations, IGM is particularly calm at this moment, I know. Sue didn't expect this part. It turns out she's the one who should be surprised. You know? That's why I said we should get married. IGM's logic leaves Sue speechless, asking, a question mark. She laughs to herself to process the information. So you knew, haha. Sue just keeps laughing foolishly. Ha ha ha. So you knew about the wedding. Haha. When Sue can't laugh anymore, the atmosphere quickly freezes, both of them stiffening up. Sue suddenly sticks her leg out to pedal the duck boat. IGM feels very confused by this action. He thinks she's changing the subject and seriously repeats, "Lee Sue, what are you doing?" "I'm being serious right now." Sue's lips tremble while what? Then she puts on a super attitude, threatening face. "I told you to pedal too. You punk." He blurts out, unable to understand. Seeing the veins popping on Sue's face, he can only obey, In the night, the sound of two people's loud and soft shouts echoes across the lake. Harder, ugh. The scene shifts to a small cafe, still lit up in the dark of night. A blood-curdling scream shakes the sign outside the cafe. What? The cafe is quiet and empty of customers at this time. Jimin, with her hands full of foam, shouts indignantly, "Isn't that CO IGM guy crazy?" Sue's face is very relaxed as she gets her hair washed, a stark contrast to Jimin. This place is heaven. He was probably just joking. Jimin is still indignant. There's a limit to joking, right? Who jokes about something like that? Besides, is he the type of person who likes to joke? IGM's annoying face quickly appears in her mind. I don't like to meddle in trivial things. Of course, this is just a symbolic image. It was never like this. Sue thinks, making a guess. Could it be that CO IGM, isn't he terminally ill? Jimin also contributes her own speculation. Hey, no way. Maybe he's in debt. Hearing this, Sue bolts upright in a flash. What? Immediately after, Jimin pushes her head back down. Lie down. Yes, ma'am. The hair washing continues. To be honest, you also made a decent amount when your work was adapted into a drama, right? Maybe he knows about that and is intentionally approaching you. This speculation makes them both fall into a silent atmosphere for a moment. Then the two of them burst out laughing at the ridiculously absurd speculation. Him, ha ha ha, that's true. Even I think it's absurd now that I've said it. Ha ha ha. After laughing, they continue their conversation. You haven't contacted COIGM since that day? Yeah, I haven't. As Jimin dries Sue's hair, she thinks to herself, that's good, right? Then she suddenly speaks up, but have you told Heyman yet about meeting IGM? Sue is silent for a moment, then replies, I told him everything. Jimin is a little worried. She's slightly bewildered. You really told him everything? That creepy story. Sue cuts in her thoughts. Jimin, but that's not the problem. Against the night sky, a residential building has many lit rooms. Heyman is sitting on the sofa. Next to him, the cat is curled up and relaxing. He leans back against the sofa, lost in thought. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, breaking the quiet space. Sue returns with a radiant face, smiling and calling for Heyman, Appa. Heyman quickly goes to greet her, looking even more pleased. Sue's home? He quickly comes over to pat her head, sweetly hugging her. I missed you, Sue. Me too. Heyman looks at her, hesitating before speaking. But, Sue, I heard you went to Jimin's salon to get your hair done today. Why did you turn into a fluffy puppy? It's not that I don't like it. I'm just really curious. The reason for this goes back to that moment. Sue silently looks at Jimin. Jimin, but that's not the problem. The problem is this hair, isn't it? It turns out the shocking story made Jimin a little too heavy-handed, causing the current result. What? What about IGM? Just the two of you? Explain it more clearly. After some time, Sue can only blame Jimin. Hinji left the rollers in for too long. No, it's because I was too focused on your story. Your hair will straighten out soon. Haha. End of flashback. Sue can only bring this hairstyle home. That's what happened. I really do look like a fluffy puppy. Sue suddenly probes. But Appa, are you really okay with it? Heyman is a little surprised. What? About me meeting COIGM? Contrary to Sue's worried expression, Heyman shows a cheerful and unconcerned face. It's amazing, right? The first love of Sue that I've only heard rumors about has returned. Sue continues to hesitate as she recounts. It's not that. It's that he proposed to me. At this, Heyman suddenly stands up. He reaches his hand towards Sue. Sue doesn't know what he's about to do. She can only lie still with wide, bewildered eyes. Then, Heyman, with a delighted face, ruffles Sue's hair. That's possible too. Ugh, my hair. Seeing Heyman's reaction, Sue can't help but sit up immediately. What? I'm more surprised about the fact that he rejected your confessions for 19 years. Of course he'd regret missing out on a girl like this, right? Sue looks at Heyman's cheerful and supportive demeanor, somewhat unable to believe her eyes. After a moment, she can only ask directly, aren't you jealous? Heyman, still relaxed, asks back, then is Sue jealous when she hears that I've met 20 people before? Hearing this, Sue acts as if a sore spot has been touched, immediately throwing a fit, lunging at Heyman to give him a few hits. Of course I am. I've been single since I was in the womb. It's not fair. Heyman can only cry out weakly, ah, it hurts, Sue. After hitting him for a while, she looks at Heyman with a gentle gaze. But what does that matter? Immediately after, Sue places an affectionate kiss on Heyman's lips. After all, the person by your side now is me. Anyway, Heyman is momentarily silent, speechless. Then he sits up and pulls her into a tight hug. While holding Sue in his arms, Heyman whispers, me too. IGM is the past, and I am the present. Sue quickly wraps her arms around his back, happily replying, that's right, I love you, Heyman. These two go back and forth, expressing their feelings for each other. Me too, Sue. Sue looks straight into Heyman's eyes and says trustingly, from now on, there will be absolutely no secrets between us. Either. Heyman replies to her with a smile. Yeah. Suddenly Heyman speaks up, wondering, so from now on, will Sue be seeing IGM often? Me? Why? It seems Heyman has done some research. I heard your two families are close. Sue immediately waves her hand in denial. That's a matter for our families. She says with some hesitation, I'm not close with him now. Heyman seems to have grasped the information. He shows no emotion. Is that so? But suddenly the atmosphere around him becomes strange. What a pity. Sue doesn't notice this abnormality. She still shrugs confidently. He probably has no reason to see me either. Heyman seems very interested in Sue's childhood friend. Is he planning to come to our wedding? It's unknown how the conversation ended. Only that Sue is now wearing an expression like someone being chased by the devil. It clearly has to be this way. Now we'll do a roll call to get to know each other. Okay, Kong Seyoon, here. Ryu Jahyun, here. Kim Ji-hai, here. As the roll call continues, Sue's expression gets worse and worse. She hesitates, about to speak, but then stops. Rio, why on earth COIGM? A familiar voice answers her. Here, that guy's here again. The story must go back to a time before, 1 month ago. A car speeding down the road suddenly screeched to a halt. What? Heyman showed a rare look of surprise. An adjunct professor. Seeing Sue's resigned expression, he was a little worried. You can't refuse? This is so sudden. Sue looked at him with a troubled, pained expression. I was planning to. Recalling the time she went to greet the professor, Sue peeked in and asked, "How is your health, professor?" The professor, lying on his hospital bed, turned his sparkling eyes towards her. Sue, you're here? He coughed, which made Sue a bit suspicious. Then the professor acted as if he were about to experience his final moments. Is that my last leaf? Sue stood frozen stiff, not daring to move forward. What is this? This atmosphere, Sue. The professor grabbed her hand, speaking in an incredibly urgent tone. The only one who can carry on my will and my lectures is you, Sue. His frail appearance and look of being on death's door put Sue in a difficult position. You'll help me, won't you? Sue recounted painfully. This is the professor who has adored me since college. Therefore, Sue could only let out a long sigh now, as she felt it was a lost cause. Heyman patted her head encouragingly. Do it. Sue felt greatly comforted and turned to act cute with him. Honey, I'm not good at refusing things like this. Anyway, you're busy with wedding preparations and your new work. I'm just worried you'll be overwhelmed, Sue. But who knows? Maybe this could help with your new work. Heyman's words of encouragement moved Sue deeply. Thank you, Heyman. Time flies, and what must come must come. 1 month later, today, Sue began her first class. She reassured herself, phew, you can do this. Lee Sue, do your best. Sue quickly opened the door and walked in. Then, she walked step by step toward the podium. Sue began with the most confident smile she could muster. Hello, everyone. She was doing well until she suddenly froze. Sue's eyes met a familiar young man sitting conspicuously in the middle of the class. That person was none other than IGM. This left Sue bewildered. That person, why is he here? Sue was officially frozen on the spot, her whole body stiff and unmoving. Looking at the dozens of students below, she had to quickly regain her composure. Sue flashed a confident smile, introducing herself. Hello, everyone. I am Lee Sue, who will be teaching the modern cultural content writing class in place of Professor Nam. IGM, below, still showed no emotion. Sue braced herself, trying to continue. Throughout this semester, I hope to be of help. The sound of applause rang out, drowning out her fearful voice. Help me. I'm so bothered, but why is he here? Sue tried to regain her focus. No, that's not important right now. First, let's focus on the class. And so, there was a roll call like just now. So let's start with a roll call and a light get-to-know-you session. Kong Seyoon here. Ryu Jahyun here. When she reached that familiar name, she paused for a moment. Rio, IGM. The moment he spoke, he attracted a lot of attention. Here what? The statue can talk to? His voice is nice too. The roll call continued. Yoon Young-hwan, here. A girl seemed to be paying close attention to IGM. Kim-sun, here. Sue just wanted to get out of there quickly, so she planned to end the class swiftly. Ahem, yes. So, since this is the first class, I will just give a brief overview of the upcoming content and then end the session. Sue's last words were very well received by the students. Everyone likes it so much, it's a bit of shame, isn't it? Even IGM gave a slight nod. Sue continued her lecture. Does anyone want to introduce their favorite novel? She was about to take the opportunity to introduce her own work when a voice cut in. But as expected, then, let me introduce my favorite book, ma'am. The one who spoke was none other than IGM. He even raised his hand high. IGM was as taciturn as usual, but it seemed he was a bit more proactive. Sue was also surprised by this. IGM added 2 more words, Professor. Sue was immediately frozen by these words. What is that bastard saying? She was about to bite IGM's head off when he added 2 more words, S novel. This fragmented way of speaking drove Sue crazy, while the other students chuckled. The expiration date of love. Thank you. It seems you read my work with great interest. This guy, Sue quickly regained her composure. She couldn't turn into a beast here. Huh, that startled me. Anyway, let's get back to the lesson. After that, Sue spoke passionately about the lesson's content. She spewed out a long stream of knowledge, very enthusiastically. IGM watched Sue's enthusiastic teaching posture intently, even cracking a slight smile. After a long lecture, Sue's class finally ended. Everyone worked hard. The students chatted as they left, finally booked from the first day of school. Hey, want to go for lunch at the Chinese restaurant? Sue was packing up her teaching materials, finally able to let out a sigh of relief. Phew, it's finally over. Most of the students had left, but IGM was still fiddling with his books. Seeing this, Sue sped up her packing, rushing to avoid him. Quickly pack up and go. There are many things I'm curious about, but for now, just avoid him. Before she could run, a voice caught her attention. Hey, hello. It turned out a female student had come to talk to IGM. Sue seemed all too familiar with this scene. Startled me. I thought she was talking to me. Seol IGM is still so popular. It was the female student who had noticed him earlier. She proactively introduced herself. You're Seol IGM Sunbi, right? You're also very handsome. IGM looked blankly at the female student. You know me? Sue couldn't help but judge. His personality is the same as ever. The female student was still very friendly. Haha, I'm in the same physics department as you. At this moment, Sue took the opportunity to turn and leave. Someone else's business. Seeing this, IGM also coldly left. Ah yes, see you then. The female student was still very persistent, trying to strike up a conversation with him. Sunbae, would you like to have lunch with me? The female student's voice was so loud that Sue, who was already far away, could still hear it, just the two of us. IGM coldly replied, sorry, I have a prior appointment. He suddenly called her name, sending a chill down Sue's spine. Is that so, Professor Lee Sue? Sue's whole body stiffened. She turned around, drenched in sweat. Oh. The female student, still not understanding what was happening, stood there blankly. Huh. Sue was already near the door, yet she couldn't escape successfully. Me? The scene shifts to the school's canteen area. Students are gathered for lunch. Looks delicious. The canteen was extremely crowded, the sound of chatter ringing out loudly. Compared to the cheerful conversations around, Sue was sweating with fear. No. Why all of a sudden, Min Kyung was looking at her with a not-so-friendly gaze. Ugh, ugh. Sue froze in the surrounding atmosphere. The three of us. Eating a meal together like this again. Min Kyung stared at Sue without blinking. Sue tried to avoid her gaze, but was completely helpless, staring like she wants to burn a hole through my face. Stop looking. She broke out in a cold sweat, not even daring to breathe heavily. If you're curious, just ask what our relationship is. This silence is even more suffocating. IGM also noticed Sess on the verge of death appearance. Nevertheless, he asked a very nonchalant question. Why aren't you eating anything? If it were you, could you swallow in this situation? Sue suddenly had a brilliant idea. That's right. She started eating frantically, eat quickly, and get this over with. Suddenly eating so much. What had to happen, happened. She choked right after. Seeing that Sue was about to pass out, IGM had to give her water to drink, eat slowly. These actions had all been noticed by Min Kyung. Professor, the food splattered all over my face. As Sue was rehydrating, Min Kyung spoke up. You too. Her words made Sue spit water all over her face. This surely isn't the first time you've met, is it? That astuteness almost made Sue choke to death. Cough, cough, cough. IGM immediately patted her back a few times. No, are you okay? Min Kyung continued to show off her deduction skills. Sunbae just used an informal address, didn't you? I heard it clearly. IGM also had to avoid her gaze. That's not what happened. She rubbed her chin, her eyes as if seeing through the mortal world. I've thought it through. Could it be that you two are friends? Or lovers? IGM sighed helplessly. Why are you so curious about that? Min Kyung replied brightly. Because today, I suddenly became interested in you, Sunbae. Seeing Min Kyung's excited face made Sue feel like she was about to drift off to paradise. My principle is not to get involved with someone who's already taken. She hesitated, not daring to speak. How should I put this? Sue quickly racked her brain, running it at full capacity. Born in the same maternity ward, dieting buddies, middle school friends, mom told us to share food, neighbors, or childhood friends. We are best friends forever. Sue felt that no matter what she thought, it wasn't right. Anyway, it's already revealed that we know each other. She fearfully thought of the worst-case scenario. In this case, what class is next? Have you done the homework? If her humiliating past is exposed, he's following me again. He's the professor's stalker. He came so often the professor mistook him for a student in our department. Sue immediately fell into fear, her face growing darker. Hey, I heard he's the professor's stalker, famous at Han University too, gives me the creeps. The more Sue-min thought, the more miserable she became. This whole semester, my reputation in front of my classmates. That can happen. Suddenly, as if enlightened, a thought flashed through Sue-min's mind. Immediately after, she looked excited, a contrast to her constipated face from before. Oh well, let's just say we're childhood friends. People who think too much sometimes come to strange conclusions. Min Kyung continued to press. So what are you two to each other? The two answered in unison, but their answers were completely different. We are friends, professor and student. Tra-la-la, tra-la-la. Sue suddenly felt like she had made a fool of herself. A wave of embarrassment washed over her again. So humiliating. IGM coldly continued. Nothing more, nothing less. Min Kyung naturally couldn't believe it. She said confidently, "Oh, you think I believe that? I may look like this, but I'm very observant. A quick glance is enough to know you two are not normal." IGM abruptly put his chopsticks down on the table, letting out a sigh. Then, he respectfully bowed to Sue. "I'm sorry, Professor." Seeing this scene, Sue looked panicked. "I broke a prior engagement and made things awkward for you, Professor." It's okay." Sue's head started spinning. She was being led around more than a cow. What is he saying? IGM lied without a change in his expression, while also taking a jab at the other person. "We clearly had a prior engagement, yet she insisted on sitting with us. And her baseless suspicions are making people uncomfortable. In this situation, shouldn't she have the decency to get up and leave?" He swept a deadly, sharp glance around. Or perhaps she has no tact at all. Kyungmin was so affected by these pointed remarks that she shot up from her seat. Or is she really that thick-skinned? Then she turned and left in embarrassment. Only Sue was left in a state of panic and worry. Sue hurriedly ran after her weight. Behind them, some male students were coming with their food, and it was a bowl of hot soup. They were so engrossed in their conversation that they weren't paying attention. "Hey, look ahead." IGM also hurriedly stood up and shouted, "Lee Sue." It seemed a collision was unavoidable, and in the end, Sue was hit with a bowl of hot soup, wincing as she sat on the ground. The hot soup spilled directly onto her, causing Sue pain. "Oh my god, it's so hot, What should I do?" The two male students who spilled the soup were also in a state of extreme panic, apologizing profusely. "Are you okay? We're so sorry, really sorry." Sue didn't want to make things difficult, so she said, it's okay." IGM quickly ran over to wipe the soup off her. "Are you okay? Did you get burned?" Yeah. Sue looked towards the restroom and replied, "Let's go to the restroom first." After some first aid, the situation was considered temporarily stable. IGM took her hand, red from the heat, and said gently, "Soak your hand in cold water first. It's all red." Despite being injured, Sue was still concerned about Min Kyung. "Let me go get some ice for you, I'm fine, but Min Kyung." Suddenly, IGM turned around, frustrated, and loudly scolded, "What do you mean you're fine? You're hurt." Sue was slightly taken aback by his attitude. Immediately after, she put on an utterly speechless face. She questioned him, "Why are you getting angry right now? Who's the one who should be angry?" Sue was no longer joking and asked him seriously, "Why are you getting angry?" She said, annoyed, "Right now. Who's the one who should be angry here?" CO IGM quickly explained, "No, that's not what I meant." But before he could finish, Sue cut in from the beginning. "Why did you have to lie that you would? Eat with me? Why you always do things your own way?" She turned away, not forgetting to leave a parting shot. "I really hate you." IGM watched her receding figure, only managing to say, "Sue." He hesitated, thinking about what Sue had just said. After Sue had walked a short distance, a voice called out from behind, "Lee Sue." She didn't notice IGM chasing after her. He ran up and held her back. "Wait." Sue unceremoniously pushed him away. "Let go of me." But she suddenly stopped. IGM, having chased after her in a hurry, said sincerely, "You'll catch a cold." Handing her a shirt, he said, "Change your clothes before you go, please." In the changing room, IGM waited for her outside. A moment later, Sue came out wearing the shirt he had given her. The two were extremely awkward, not knowing what to say to each other. IGM secretly glanced at her, her embarrassed expression meeting his eyes. Trying to act nonchalant, he asked, "Is your hand better?" The words quickly made Sue jump. She leaned towards him, quickly saying, it's completely fine. Do you want to see? Seeing her enthusiastic demeanor, IGM was a bit scared and dodged, Seeing her bright smile and perfectly fine appearance, IGM put his hands in his pockets and replied, oh, that's good then. It turned out IGM had brought medicine for her. A moment later, Sue said, thanks for lending me your clothes. IGM replied, what's there to thank me for? It happened because of me. Give me the shirt. I'll dry clean it and return it to you. Sue quickly refused. Come on, is that really necessary? IGM mumbled no. Sue didn't hear what he said clearly and asked, what did you just say? IGM said shyly, just now, I'm sorry for getting angry. A look of surprise flashed in Sue's eyes. She began, IGM, can we talk for a bit? Scene change. Sue was enjoying the fresh air outside. She let out a sigh, finally feeling relieved. Looking at the familiar sights before him, IGM hesitated. This is... Sue quickly replied, that's right, the shortcut to the humanities department we used to take. Wow, this place hasn't changed a bit. IGM agreed. Really, it's just like before. Suddenly remembering something, Sue quickly ran off, leaving IGM still. Dazed that I think it was around here somewhere. Sue looked around. Found it, she exclaimed, then became disappointed, but this hole was finally sealed up, wasn't it? Recalling her glorious past, Sue wiped away a tear. Those poor underclassmen. Whenever they have a class in the humanities department, they'll have to do some serious exercise. But I've already graduated. IGM was now walking behind the building. Suddenly, something caught his attention. It was the love declaration Sue had once scribbled on the wall. IGM looked at it and smiled. Suddenly there was a cry, it hurts. That hurts, be gentle. As IGM helped her treat the wound, he didn't hesitate to expose her. Don't overdo it. Sue was curious. Where did you get the medicine? IGM replied, while you were changing, I bought some at the cafeteria. But his expression changed. IGM couldn't contain his frustration and yelled, why are you still so careless from 6 years ago until now? Always in a hurry. Sue wore a very resigned expression as she was being scolded. Here comes the nagging again, like an old man. But it's been a while, so hearing it again makes me a little nostalgic. The thought flashed by, but IGM's voice was still ringing in her ears. Just today, I've heard you nag twice already. I told you to take better care of yourself. Sue regretted her previous thought. I take back what I just said. Suddenly, IGM changed the subject. So what did you want to ask? Sue then remembered. That's right. She pointed straight at his face and said, hey, why are you at school? Don't tell me you re-enrolled. IGM calmly replied, I'm back to finish my studies. Sue asked further, right? You dropped out with 1 semester left, didn't you? How did you coincidentally enroll in the same general education class as me? IGM replied, it wasn't a coincidence. Sue was surprised, So, IGM didn't hesitate to name names. Sung Jun told me. Sue trembled with anger. That damn Sung Jun. Suddenly, Sue noticed a small tattoo on his hand. She grabbed his hand and asked, you got a tattoo? IGM quickly pulled his hand away from her. Yeah, I got it while I was abroad. Sue chided him. So petty. When I said I wanted a tattoo, you told me not to. When did you get it? Let me see. IGM feigned a shrug to escape her clutches. I get tired if I focus for a bit. Move aside. I want to lie down for a bit. Sue quickly refused. No way. I don't have any space either. IGM smiled slyly. You don't want to? Then I'll just lie on your lap like before. In response, Sue gave him a look of utter disdain. Lying down on the more than half-empty bench, IGM said comfortably, it should have been like this from the start. Sue angrily raised her fist. Are you teasing me? IGM, guessing her thoughts, challenged hit me. IGM closed his eyes beside her. Sue silently looked at the sky, unable to hold back her admiration. The sky is so beautiful. She suddenly remembered a memory of the two of them as students. Is it because of this that I'm remembering old times? This isn't the time. She turned and called out, hey COIGM, wake up, let's go home. If you don't wake up, I'm leaving first. You, looking at his face. Sue checked suspiciously. What is this? Are you really asleep? You fell asleep just like that. His personality is so difficult, yet he can sleep anywhere. After a few seconds of silence, Sue reached out her hand to shield him. Suddenly, IGM spoke up. What are you doing? Sue's hand was pulled by him. She cried out in surprise. He pulled her close to him, teasing, if you're going to shield me, you have to do it properly, right? Sue still hadn't reacted to the current situation. IGM smiled with amusement and said, like this. Sue's mouth was still hanging open. Suddenly a phone rang, breaking the ice. IGM noticed she seemed to be trembling. A moment later, Sue gave him a headbutt, scolding this crazy bastard. Then she quickly became gentle. Hello, honey. No, I'm still at school. Oh, really? Yes, I know. See you later. IGM rubbed his head and watched. He saw her wearing a very happy expression while talking to the other person. She ended the call. She turned to say, Hey, CO IGM. Before she could finish, IGM walked past her. Let's go. Sue was slow, huh? He said, didn't you say your boyfriend is coming to pick you? Sue stammered, huh? Yeah, that's right. She quickly chased after him, thinking to herself, I feel like something has changed. They reached the front courtyard of the building, passing by a small bench. Sue couldn't help but ask the person next to her, why do you keep following me? IGM calmly replied, it's probably just the same way, and besides, no matter how you look at it, you're the one following me. Sue was a bit at a loss for a reply. Suddenly thinking of something, Sue quickly said, oh right, if you see Min Kyung in the next class, you must apologize. IGM replied indifferently, why should I apologize? Sue exposed him why. You were too harsh just now. Min Kyung looked really hurt. IGM said without concern, actually, if I treat someone I don't care about nicely, it's even worse. Sue pouted and said, it was just an invitation to a meal, and you overreacted. IGM quickly pulled her close to him to avoid the car behind them, saying, you don't know, but an invitation to a meal can mean a lot more than you think. Flicking her forehead, he teased, even if I told you, I'm not sure you'd understand. You probably don't know a thing about love. Pushing his hand away, Sue disagreed. What? Have you forgotten? I'm about to get married. Her words immediately silenced IGM for a few seconds. Then he started teasing again. You've only dated once. What's so great about that? Seeing the expression on the annoying guy's face, Sue was furious. This guy. As if processing the information, Sue was stunned. Wait a minute. She chased after him to question him. You've never dated before, have you? IGM replied, I'm not like you. Hearing this, Sue became even more curious. Huh? So you went abroad to study love? Turns out your type is foreign girls. IGM said helplessly, what are you talking about? Sue put on an abandoned look and said choked up, no wonder you rejected a beauty like me. I should have realized sooner. IGM could only sigh helplessly. Returning to the main topic, she stuck to him like a leech, asking, so will you apologize to Min Kyung or not? Tell me, will you? IGM stuck to his guns. I won't apologize. Sue asked, dissatisfied, why not? You have to apologize. I'm telling you to apologize. IGM sighed and asked her, why do you care so much about someone you don't even know? Well, Sue's answer made IGM stop in his tracks. Because she's like me. He turned back to look at Sue's dejected figure. She smiled and replied, seeing her is like seeing my old self when I liked you. Maybe that's why I care. Faced with Sue's words, IGM didn't know what to say. Meanwhile, not far away, someone was watching the two of them from a distance. Sue curiously asked him, so how many times have you dated? IGM pretended to think and then replied, me? 48 times. Sue's jaw dropped at his answer. CO, IGM, you've really become a player, a lecturer acting like a delinquent? You even got a tattoo. And you're dating too. Tell me the truth. You're not CO IGM, are you? As Sue rambled on, a voice called from a distance, Sue. She immediately brightened up. Huh, honey. Then she turned to say goodbye. Hey, I'm leaving. IGM replied, unhappily. Suddenly Sue turned back and asked with concern, or should I give you a ride on my way home? Suddenly a car horn honked in the distance. Just as Sue finished speaking, is that okay? IGM held up his car key and said, I have a car too. Extremely embarrassed, Sue quickly made her escape. Is that so? Never mind then. But before she could leave, IGM pulled her shirt from behind. Hey, wait a minute. Sue cried out tiredly. Oh my God. He snatched the dirty shirt from her. He said, I'll take this home to dry. I'll bring it back next class. Oh, and also, I'll apologize when I see her. Sue looked at him in surprise and asked again, what did you say? IGM avoided her gaze and urged, hurry up and go. Your boyfriend is waiting. Seeing her, Heyman said cheerfully, Sue, you're here. You've worked hard. Seeing him, she was just as happy and called out, honey, I missed you so much. Heyman's eyes were now on the strange shirt she was wearing, even as she continued to chatter happily. Don't you miss me? He wondered that guy. Then he asked her, who was that with you just now? Sue didn't hide it and said, that's CO IGM. He was very surprised and asked, what? Why is he here? Sue sighed and explained, it's a long story. Time passed. Sue recounted the whole story to Heyman. He comforted her, wow, today was really tiring. You worked so hard. Sue smiled, I was a little tired, but it wasn't too bad. It's been a long time since I've reminisced about the old days. Heyman quickly gave her a gift. Then to celebrate your first class today, let's go eat chicken feet and drink soju. Sue exclaimed with delight, oh my God, that's great. Oh, and I heard the professor was discharged from the hospital. I wonder if he's okay? Let me call and ask. Heyman replied, that's a good idea, yeah. As soon as she opened her phone, she saw that Professor Nam had just posted something. The professor who was so weak in the hospital the other day was now out having fun, despite all the trouble she went through, which made Sue furious. Professor Nam, that bastard. A storm raged in Sue's heart. She shouted, "This is unforgivable." Scene change at Sue's apartment. As soon as she entered the house, Sue quickly called out sweetly, "Jijing." She hugged and kissed the cat. "Are you doing well?" Heyman laughed helplessly and replied, "So, go take a quick shower before the chicken feet arrive." As soon as he finished speaking, Sue transformed and flew into the bathroom, not forgetting to say, "I'll take a quick shower and be right out." Heyman smiled and nodded. He waved at her gently. A second later, the bathroom door closed, and his face immediately fell. He walked closer to the bathroom, picking up IGM's shirt, then threw it aside, his eyes filled with hatred as he looked at the shirt. At Ju Heyman's art exhibition in the main building, there was a painting that looked rather strange. All around were colorful art pieces, completely different from that painting. That painting was titled The Man Below. The name was as cryptic as the painting itself. At that moment, at IGM's house, he had just entered the room. Behind him, the image of the mysterious painting flickered, and he called out, "I'm home," not knowing who was in the room. A rhythmic, firm shout echoed from within a building. Small feet lifted in unison, kicking decisively with each beat. "Yeah." Following the rhythm, small, delicate fists punched forward forcefully. "Yeah." Song Jun's face was stern as he placed his hands on his belt and shouted, "Higher." Obeying his words, the three young students tried to kick higher. Yeah. Watching them, he felt very proud. At the end of the martial arts class, Song Jun formally bowed to his students in the martial arts style, and they quickly responded in kind. "Taekwondo, Taekwon." One of the kids suddenly glanced aside, as if he had seen someone arrive. The boy excitedly shouted the announcement, "Master, your girlfriend is here." He then let out a soft cry, "Eek." Jamie, standing outside the glass door, smiled slightly upon being discovered and knocked. She cheerfully and affectionately offered him food. "Here, my love, open your mouth." Seeing that he had eaten, she asked, "How is it? Is it delicious?" "Of course, who made it? It's sweet as honey." He picked up another piece and said gently, "But let's eat out next time." Then he also affectionately picked up a piece to feed her. "This is tiring to make. Why waste money eating out?" Jamie said while eating and winking. "We should save up to open a center for June later." It's better. Seeing his lovely and understanding girlfriend say that, he could only smile back at her. The two walked down the street holding hands as Osu said if she sees you, she'll give you a piece of her mind. She's really mad. Why does CEO Ijayam always have to stick his nose in things? Song Jun rubbed his head and sighed. "I'll have to avoid Sue for a while." "Don't worry, honey. If Sue says anything to you, I'll take care of it." He clasped his hands, showing his gratitude with sparkling eyes. "My girlfriend is truly the best." Hearing a loud sales pitch nearby, both of them were drawn to turn their heads and look. An enthusiastic saleswoman called out, "Lots of beautiful jewelry. Come take a look. Want to see?" Yeah. Jamie approached the stall and bent down to look. "Wow." She exclaimed with delight as her eyes landed on a displayed necklace. "That one is so pretty." The saleswoman immediately came over to advise. "Oh my miss, you know what? Miss, you have a great eye. This just came in today. It's the last one left." "Really?" Hearing that, he reached into his pocket, ready to pay. "I'll take this one." "Honey, that'll be 20,000 won, miss." Wearing the necklace her boyfriend just bought her, she didn't hesitate to show her joy. Ha. Song Jun turned to ask, "You like it that much?" "Of course, who bought it for me? It's so beautiful." After hearing that, his shoulders slumped a little, looking dejected. "I'm sorry. I'll buy you a more expensive and prettier one later. Don't apologize for things like this." She smiled brightly to reassure him. "To me, this is already Prada or Gucci." Once again, he could only smile silently, helpless before her. Suddenly, she lunged forward and kissed him to show her gratitude. The more I look at it, the more I like it." "Thank you, June." Suddenly remembering something, Jamie said, "Oh, right, I have good news." "What is it?" She continued, "Wow, do you remember my YouTube channel? My new video got a great response. I also made a clip about men's hairstyling and daily makeup. I filmed that time I did your hair." He vaguely recalled as she recounted the story. I remember now. But hey, that video's views exploded, and Lee Kongwoo's company even contacted me. "What? Lee Kongwoo?" Jamie recalled the scene as she told him, "Thank you so much for today. I'll recommend you to many people." She said enthusiastically, "Yes, it's the same company as actor Choi Si-ha. They said he recommended me a lot." "Wow, that's my girlfriend. You're amazing." Song Jun shyly rubbed his head and said, "My love, can you get an autograph for me then?" You like Lee Kongwoo?" she asked curiously. He answered innocently, "He's a good actor, and he chooses his scripts well, too. He's great, isn't he? He's been really popular lately." "You don't like him?" After hearing him, she couldn't hide her amused expression at her boyfriend's clueless look at me. I think he's just okay. Jamie said, in my eyes, all men are the same except for you. Don't make me fall out of love with you. Her face showed a worried expression as she said, sigh, but this is my first time working with a male actor. I'm so nervous. Can I do it? Of course you can. You're great. Don't worry. Go for it, Jamie. Then the two were lovey-dovey again, engaging in public displays of affection. Eek, thanks to you, I feel much more confident. A kiss for courage. Jamie was backstage at a film shoot, watching everyone rehearse. Having waited for a long time, she started to feel anxious. What is this? I've been waiting for hours. She thought to herself, there's work to do for the actress's makeup, but for the male actor, there's almost nothing to do. We get paid the same, but I feel like I'm not doing much. But as soon as she thought that, she quickly stood up to regain her spirits. This won't do. I have to find something to do myself. She walked to a spot, stopped, and looked around, muttering, is there a spot somewhere? And then Jamie's eyes fixed on one point. It seemed she had found her target. Looking at the handsome actor reading his script, she thought to herself, Kongwoo. She watched his posture intently and considered, he seems so friendly on TV. Continuing her train of thought, seeing him in person, he really has a star's aura. No wonder he's an actor. Cut. Let's take a 10-minute break and then continue filming. Kongwoo quietly walked to a nearby chair to rest and reread his script after the scene ended. A figure gently approached and said, let me touch up your makeup. It's not necessary. It needs to be touched up. Seeing that the other person was still insistent, he felt a bit awkward and looked up to see. Jamie held a makeup brush and analyzed daytime, strong lighting, plus the filming lights. You look pale, completely lifeless. She continued, on screen, you'll look like a sick person. Ah, is that so? After saying that, she gently brought the brush up to reapply his lip color. Jamie said, Kongwoo, your skin tone really suits pink. Next time you get your makeup done, tell them that. After hearing this, Kongwoo thought to himself, she's so serious about her work even during a break. Amazing. Then Jamie also held up her phone as proof and continuously analyzed his makeup during filming. He watched her, still focused on touching up his makeup, and silently marveled. So cool. As if lost in his own thoughts, Kongwoo didn't say a word. Suddenly, he was jolted from his thoughts when he heard a voice call, actor. Huh, what? She was a little surprised by his reaction. Thought it's done. Do you want me to fix anything else? No, it's fine. Hearing that, Jamie left, not forgetting to call back a word of encouragement. All right then, do a good job. Kongwoo's face suddenly flushed red. He thought, my heart is pounding. At the art exhibition, a large crowd had gathered to admire the works. Heyman stood in the center, happily laughing and talking with those around him. Suddenly, he paused as his gaze shifted to a corner. A family of 3, parents and their daughter, were standing and animatedly discussing a painting. Sua, blushing with embarrassment, tried to stop her father. Dad, please stop crying. Why do you keep crying? I'm not crying. I've just been very emotional lately, probably menopause. Heyman quickly approached to greet them. Oh, Mom and Dad, you're here? Oh, you're here. Then he bowed his head slightly to thank them for coming. Sue's mother asked, have you been to the juice room yet? Stop it, dear, you've cried enough. Everyone is so busy, I'll just sit and look at the paintings first. Suddenly, a pair of large hands firmly grasped his. Sue's father, teary-eyed and emotional, said, sob, Heyman, thank you for marrying my daughter. Haha, I'm a lucky one. My dad cries a lot lately. Please bear with him. Sue affectionately held his hand and asked caringly, ignoring her mother who was consoling her father, have you eaten? I haven't eaten anything. She panicked. Are you very hungry? No, but suddenly, they both quickly turned towards Sue's parents at the sound of her father's stomach growling. He turned back and said embarrassedly, I skipped meals to fit into my suit. Now I'm starving. I made it okay, sorry. Haha. Seeing this, she could only laugh helplessly and turn back to say, honey, let me go get something for Dad to eat. If he doesn't eat, he'll really faint. Ah, Sue. Wait a moment. He smiled gently, took out a black card, and gave it to her. Take this, order something delicious for your dad. Honey, thank you so much. Her family waved goodbye to him. Heyman, thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoy your meal. Honey, see you later. Heyman smiled and waved back. Yes, enjoy your meal. When her family was out of sight, he slowly lowered his hand, his smile fading. He was startled to hear a familiar male voice call his name from behind. Ju Heyman. Ijian was standing right behind him and said coldly, long time no see. Recognizing the familiar person, Heyman's expression couldn't hide its clear and cold dissent. At a beautiful cafe, sunlight streamed through the clear glass windows, creating a warm and pleasant atmosphere. The staff behind the counter were busy making drinks, while customers scattered throughout the shop sipped coffee and chatted animatedly. In a hidden corner near the window was a small coffee table with 2 young men sitting opposite each other. They drew attention not only for their handsome Ai-Jayam looks, but also for the tense, distinct atmosphere surrounding them. Haman, with a somewhat lazy demeanor, gently swirled the coffee cup in his hand. Immediately after, Ai-Jayam lightly lifted his coffee cup, his cold voice speaking without any discernible meaning. Long time no see. Haman clasped his hands, propped his elbows on the table, and deliberately put on a serious expression as if facing an important negotiation. His tone was sharp. "I didn't expect you to come looking for me first." In contrast to Haman's mocking demeanor, Ai-Jayam calmly held his coffee cup and replied nonchalantly, "Well, I didn't expect it myself either." Then he took a sip of coffee, his sharp gaze cutting through the air straight at Haman. "That I didn't expect you to make me come all the way here. You must have been waiting eagerly for me, haven't you?" Hearing Ai-Jayam's words, his face darkened, not letting the silence last too long. Haman quickly regained his composure and gave a faint smile, but his smile held no joy. He retorted to Ai-Jayam in a mocking tone, "It seems you've been overthinking things, Ai-Jayam. That's why you came looking for me in such a hurry." When Haman finished speaking, Ai-Jayam's face showed no expression, but he quickly put his coffee cup down on the table with an impatient air. "I'll get straight to the point." Ai-Jayam's voice rang out with determination, but still didn't seem to worry Haman. Ai-Jayam's eyes narrowed dangerously. After a moment of silence, he leaned forward, his voice unwavering, "Stay away from Sue." Ai-Jayam's words were like a knife stabbing into the silent air. He looked up at Ai-Jayam, his expression remaining nonchalant, but the coldness in his eyes was evident. Haman's voice came out slowly but full of challenge. "Why should I do that?" Haman's words were like a spark igniting the intense emotions within Ai-Jayam. He lowered his head, his shoulders trembling slightly. It was unclear whether from sadness or anger. After a moment, Ai-Jayam's voice, choked with emotion, spoke up. "You're by her side, so you should know, right? Sue, she shouldn't be associated with the word unhappy. This has nothing to do with her. She really doesn't know anything." Hearing Ai-Jayam's words, Haman's expression changed for a moment. His lips pursed in anger. His pupils contracted, his eyes darkening for a moment. "Nothing to do with her? I don't think so." But Haman immediately regained his composure. He looked up and smiled faintly, his expression as nonchalant as before. "That I warned you back then. Later on, you will regret it." After speaking, he stood up, pulled out his chair, and said indifferently, "I have to go now. A client is waiting for me." But Ai-Jayam didn't want to let him leave so easily. He gritted his teeth, his voice as if trying to pin his opponent down. "So, do you really want to kill Sue?" Haman's steps faltered. He stood motionless, his eyes wide, a dazed look briefly appearing on his face. But after just a few seconds, he gave a soft, self-mocking laugh and answered decisively, "Of course." Then he tilted his head, his eyes as sharp as a knife, looking straight at Ai-Jayam, his face darkening, his voice turning bitter. "Because that's the only reason I approached that bitch." Hearing this, Ai-Jayam's last bit of composure vanished, and he lunged straight at Haman. Ai-Jayam grabbed Haman's collar and pulled him up forcefully. He didn't resist, just let his arms hang limp. His face showed no fear. On the contrary, it was full of defiance. He looked up with a faint smile, as if taunting Ai-Jayam. Ai-Jayam's face darkened, a murderous aura emanating from him, his voice full of anger as he questioned, "Do you really want to do this?" Haman decisively swung his arm, prying Ai-Jayam's hand from his collar. His face still held a cheerful smile, but his voice rang out coldly. "You should feel it for yourself, what the feeling of ultimate suffering is like." After speaking, he turned and walked away quickly, leaving Ai-Jayam standing there alone. Ai-Jayam remained there, motionless and dazed. The surrounding laughter and chatter seemed to be swallowed by the gloomy atmosphere enveloping him. In the suffocating silence, Haman's voice seemed to linger, echoing in Ai-Jayam's mind, "That is the best revenge I have for you." At the same time, in another place, a clear, singing voice blended into the beautiful atmosphere of the day. Lulu la la. The girl, Sue, with a radiant face, walked lightly on a familiar path, in her hand a bag full of carefully packed food. She muttered softly, smiling as she spoke, "I can't possibly eat all this delicious food by myself. It's a good thing they packed it for me. If he sees this, he'll be so touched he could die." Suddenly, she stopped, her gaze fixed ahead. A soft exclamation escaped her lips when she recognized Haman up ahead. He was standing in a dark alley, a complete contrast to the bustling and bright street around him. She happily raised her hand to call him honey, but before the word was out, his next action made her freeze. Haman flicked a lighter, the small but strong flame quickly lighting the cigarette he held between his. lips. He took a deep drag, letting the white smoke drift from his mouth. The sound of the inhale echoed in the quiet space, as if the whole world around them had frozen. Sue stood there, her hands stiff. The handle of the bag she was holding silently slipped from her hand, but she didn't notice. Her face was dazed, her eyes a mixture of worry and confusion. This image of Heyman was so different from how he always presented himself to her that her heart seemed to sink. After finishing his cigarette, Heyman returned to his workplace as if nothing had happened. He walked with a calm demeanor, completely unaware that a pair of bewildered eyes had just been watching him. As soon as he entered, a female employee called out to him loudly, "Author." He turned around, his face showing clear surprise. "Your girlfriend came by earlier and left this for you." After speaking, the employee handed him a small bag. He took it, replying in a soft voice, "Ah, thank you." After walking a few steps, Heyman quickly took out his phone to check. His eyes scanned the screen, but he saw no calls from Sue, only a text message from her. The content was simple, but full of concern. "Don't skip meals anymore. I prepared some food for you. See you at home." He stared at the message, a dazed feeling taking over, his thoughts swirling. But he didn't know where to begin. A flicker of regret flashed in his heart, but all that remained was emptiness. On a bustling film set, the atmosphere grew quiet as a special scene was being filmed. The male actor knelt down, carefully tying the female actor's shoelace. His long, slender hands paid no mind to the dirt on the shoe, each movement as meticulous as if touching something precious. On the monitor, his face expressed perfect emotion. His eyebrows were slightly furrowed, his cheeks flushed, his eyes a mixture of confusion and innocence like a young man facing love for the first time. Every gesture, every expression was so delicate that no one could look away. The director stood in front of the camera, intently watching every frame, quietly conferring with his assistant. After the scene was completed, the atmosphere on set lightened considerably. The director nodded, unable to hide his satisfaction that Kang-woo filmed so well today, didn't he? His acting was great too. Kang-woo replied modestly, a faint smile on his lips. "Really? Thank you." The actress who had just acted with him stood beside him and chimed in, her eyes a little teasing. That's right, that's right. You were even prettier than me today." The director looked at the monitor, where Kang-woo's image from just now was clearly recorded. He said gently, his voice full of encouragement, "Your presence in front of the camera is really good. Keep it up like this today." Kang-woo replied politely, but with determination, "Yes, sir. I will work hard." Amidst the cheerful atmosphere, the actress suddenly complained, "Director, why didn't you praise me at all?" The director was momentarily flustered, clearing his throat to hide his embarrassment before quickly changing the subject. Ahem, who is the director having act in the next scene? Kang-woo, standing nearby, merely glanced at them before turning away, his gaze directed outward as if he wasn't interested in the conversation. However, what caught his attention was a different scene in the distance. A young man was handing a cup of water to a girl, saying gently, "Please have some coffee." The girl's delighted "ooh" rang out, drawing Kang-woo's gaze. In his eyes, everything around him seemed to fade, leaving only the image of that girl and her words of thanks. Kang-woo couldn't take his eyes off her, his face flushing red. All the noisy sound from the director, the actress, and the film set seemed to disappear. In his mind, the girl's words echoed. "Do you know which scene female audiences go craziest for?" That question and her confident gaze were still clear in his mind. Her voice, full of certainty, "It's the scene where the male actor cries." Back then, she had continued to explain enthusiastically, not giving him a chance to react. "If you apply a little pink blush around the eyes, nose, cheeks, and ears." Hearing this, Kang-woo became shy, his face turning red, but he still listened seriously to her every word. Without waiting for him to reply, the girl had smiled brightly and added, "And that completes the makeup for the boy everyone wants to make cry." Recalling this, Kang-woo smiled unconsciously, a gentle and happy smile as if joy was spreading throughout his heart. That evening, the parking lot was quieter after a busy day of filming. The young man who brought coffee this morning, who turned out to be Kang-woo's manager, was standing and chatting with the girl. The manager smiled warmly, his voice gentle. "You worked hard today. You must be tired from waiting so long, right?" The girl replied cheerfully and sincerely, "Not at all. Thanks to this opportunity, I got a look around the film set. It was very interesting." The manager nodded and then enthusiastically offered, "Where do you live? I'll give you a ride home." The girl was momentarily flustered, quickly waving her hands to refuse. It's just one bus ride from here to my house. I can get home by myself. Hearing her answer, the manager was a little disappointed, but tried to hide it with a soft exclamation. That's very convenient then. She explained honestly, the bus is very convenient. You should head home now too. You must be tired. At this point, the manager still didn't want to end the conversation with the girl and continued to make small talk. IT seems Kong-woo is talking with the director for quite a while. It's better if you go home first. Seeing the crew members loading equipment onto the truck to leave, the girl nodded to the manager, bowed slightly, and said, "Then please say goodbye to Kong-woo for me. I'll be leaving now." In another corner, near the crew's vehicle, Kong-woo was talking to an actress in a light pink shirt. The actress smiled, waved at Kong-woo, and said, "You worked hard." Kong-woo also nodded and replied politely, "See you at the next shoot. I'll be leaving now." Kong-woo left and got into the car. He found his manager already sitting in the front seat. The manager turned his head, looked at Kong-woo encouragingly, and said, "You worked hard. Let's go straight home." Kong-woo replied while looking thoughtful. Then he asked in a questioning tone, "Yes, but hey, the person who came for the business trip today." Kong-woo trailed off, but the manager seemed to understand his meaning immediately, shrugged, and recounted in a calm tone, I offered to take her home, but she insisted on refusing, saying she could take the bus." Upon hearing the manager's story, Kong-woo suddenly pushed the car door open and got out. His abrupt actions startled the manager, who quickly called after him. Kong-woo, "Where are you going?" Kong-woo said quickly as he ran, "Just wait a moment, I'll be right back." At the bus stop, suddenly, as if remembering something, she looked up and whispered, "Write the autograph." She suddenly blamed herself for forgetting her promise to her younger brother. In her mind, an image of her brother appeared with a shy smile and a timid posture as he asked for the favor. "Can you get his autograph for me?" Thinking of this, she let out a small laugh to herself, then sighed softly, "I completely forgot." Just then, a loud voice broke the silence. "Found you." The girl jumped and turned around. In front of her was Kong-woo, breathing heavily, her face showing clear joy. She called his name questioningly, "Kong-woo." Without letting her continue, Kong-woo, still panting, smiled and said, "Thank goodness you haven't left yet." The girl was surprised and approached him with a flustered look, her voice full of curiosity. "No, but why are you here? Did you forget something?" Kong-woo leaned on his knees, trying to catch his breath after the long run. He could only manage an indistinct sound. "Hey." She looked at Kong-woo with confusion, frowning as she replied quickly, It took a few seconds for Kong-woo to stand up straight, his face still showing traces of fatigue. He looked directly into the girl's eyes. "Shy, but sincere, your name." "I don't know your name, so..." The unfinished sentence surprised the girl. His gaze did not leave her. Their eyes met for a moment in which time seemed to stop. Her cheeks flushed. It was unclear if it was because of Kong-woo's question or his emotional gaze. She awkwardly turned away to avoid his gaze, trying to regain her composure to answer, "My name? My name is Yukemi." Kong-woo repeated her name as if to engrave it in his heart. Yukemi. He gave a gentle smile, his eyes shining brightly under the lights. He called her name once more with a voice full of sincerity, "Miss Kemi." Kong-woo smiled, a smile that seemed to light up the quiet space around them. He said softly, "Let's meet again next time." The two stood facing each other, their silhouettes blending into the gentle light of the street lamp, like a couple in a romantic scene. The night sky above twinkled with stars, and a shooting star streaked by, as if heralding something magical was about to happen. In that moment, in the quiet space, a new love story seemed to be beginning, like a small but warm flame. The next morning in class, after the lesson ended, Sue's steady voice broke through the noise. Everyone worked hard. Although her words carried their usual politeness, Sue's face clearly showed fatigue. She hugged a folder of documents in her arms and walked slowly, her dazed appearance suggesting she was lost in her own thoughts. She sighed, blaming herself. I don't even know how I managed today's class. I really don't have the right to be a professor." The image of Heyman smoking that she had accidentally seen yesterday suddenly appeared in her mind, making her pause. The memory made her heart sink. An uncomfortable feeling washed over her. She silently wondered, why did he have to hide it? It's not a big deal, so why do I feel so upset? Sue stood there for a long time, trying to shake off the restless feeling in her heart. Then, As if to console herself, she shook her head slightly, her tone determined, and oh, aside from that, he's still the same person he usually is. I'll go home today and ask him directly. However, as soon as that determination sparked, she clutched her head, her eyebrows furrowed, her face full of turmoil. Or am I just overthinking it? The questions kept swirling in her head, making her even more confused. But suddenly, a spark ignited in her mind. Sue's eyes became cunning, a scheming smile playing on her lips. She lightly scratched her chin as a bold idea emerged, as expected at times like these. It was as if she had just come up with a plan. Bright sunlight streamed through the window panes, illuminating the interior of the small cafe nestled amidst lush green trees. Reflecting the clear blue sky, skyscrapers stretched up in the distance. Sue appeared with a radiant face, a friendly smile on her lips. She raised a finger and said gently to the server, "1 iced chocolate for me." After ordering her drink, Sue slowly walked upstairs. As she walked, she looked around and exclaimed, "Wow, this place has changed so much too." Suddenly, as her gaze fell upon the first floor terrace, she let out a gasp. Oh. Unable to contain her excitement, Sue quickly opened the glass door leading to the terrace. Stepping outside quickly, her face filled with joy, she spread her arms wide, waving to welcome the sun. This terrace is still the same. It hasn't changed one bit. She stood in the middle of the terrace, her eyes crinkling in a radiant smile, a happy giggle escaping her lips. The smell of manure. The breeze carried the distinct scent of the surrounding greenery through the air. Sue kept her eyes closed, enjoying it, her expression completely relaxed. Her voice was soft. It's really been a long time. Before she could finish her sentence, a loud voice suddenly rang out, shattering Sue's joy. "Professor." She was startled and turned her head in surprise. It turned out to be Min Ki-hung, the girl sitting nearby, waving her hands frantically to call her over. Min Ki-hung smiled brightly, saying excitedly, "We meet again here." Opposite Min Ki-hung was Ijeom, who also turned to look towards her, his eyes meeting Sue's with a look of surprise. Min Ki-hung couldn't hide her excitement, her lovely voice ringing out in the sunlit space. "Wow, how could I run into you here, Professor?" She rested her chin on her hand, a bright smile blooming like a flower, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Is this fate?" Hee. Under Min Ki-hung's enthusiasm, Sue was a bit flustered. She hesitated and replied reluctantly, "Haha, yes it is." However, Min Ki-hung seemed not to notice her awkwardness and continued to chat cheerfully. "Oh my, Professor, please speak comfortably." The girl chatted carefree and innocently, laughing endlessly. "You're much older than me." But Min Ki-hung had no idea. Her casual remark was like an arrow straight through Sue's fragile heart. She cried silently to herself, "Much older? I'm only 9 years older." Sue couldn't hold it in and started to silently blame Ijeom. But where did this guy go, leaving the two of us here? Unexpectedly, Ijeom was standing right behind her without her knowing. His gentle voice suddenly rang out, "You should cover yourself with this." "Professor." It turned out Ijeom had stood up and taken off his jacket to place it on Sue's lap. His face didn't show much emotion, but his eyes were full of concern, gentle and worried. "It's cold on the rooftop." Faced with his unexpected care, Sue replied politely, "Ah, thank you." In contrast, Min Ki-hung, sitting opposite, rested her chin on her hand, clearly showing her displeasure at the romantic atmosphere between the two. In the midst of the awkward atmosphere, the bell from the drink pager rang, breaking the silence. The sound signaled that Sue's drink was ready. Ijeom stood up, took the pager, and said, "Since I'm already standing, I'll go get this." His natural gesture made Sue smile to herself, a thought flashing through her mind. This guy, he's still so considerate. After Ijeom left, Min Ki-hung suddenly called out, "Professor." Sue turned, looking at the girl with curiosity, and met Min Ki-hung's eyes, which had now turned serious. Meanwhile, at the counter, Ijeom's deep voice rang out, "Thank you." The staff member quickly replied in a professional manner, "Enjoy your drink." At that moment, Sue exclaimed in surprise, What was that?" upon hearing something Min Ki-hung said. Ijeom returned with the tray of drinks, walking slowly. Min Ki-hung was still chatting cheerfully. "I heard from Senior Ijeom," he said. "The professor requested an apology." At that moment, he used his shoulder to push the door, his steps suddenly becoming unsteady. The drink on the tray shook slightly, the ice cubes clinking against each other. Suddenly, Min Ki-hung's urgent voice rang out, "Professor." She looked straight at Sue, her voice full of tension. "Please help me get close to Senior Ijeom." As soon as those words were spoken, Ijeom's steps faltered. He stood frozen behind them, while the other two remained. Unaware, Sue was motionless for a long time, stunned by Min Ki-hung's unexpected request. Her thoughts swirled in her head, unable to utter a single word at that moment. Not too far away, someone was silently waiting for her answer. After a few seconds of contemplation, she seemed to have regained her composure. Her calm voice broke the silence. Okay. As soon as those words were spoken, Ijeom's eyes immediately darkened. He clenched his fists, suppressing the emotions welling up inside him. Sue continued in a steady voice, "I'll help." After that sentence, it seemed as if the entire space around Ijeom was enveloped in a layer of cold air. After finishing their conversation, everyone walked out to the front of the coffee shop together. Min Ki-hung still couldn't hide her excitement, smiling as she asked, "So, is everyone going home now?" Sue nodded slightly, calmly replying, "Yeah." Min Ki-hung gently tucked her hair behind her ear and called out softly, "Senior Ijeom." She smiled gently, showing a face that was hard to refuse, and gently suggested, "Can you drop me off at a station near my way home, please?" Sue stood beside them. She silently shook her head, thinking to herself, "But if it's him, he'll definitely refuse." However, her thought was immediately shattered when Ijeom replied concisely, "Sure, get in." That quick reply couldn't help but surprise Sue. She widened her eyes, looking at Ijeom, unable to understand why he had agreed so easily. This image was completely different from Ijeom's usual demeanor, causing Sue to be momentarily confused, thinking to herself, "What's with that kid?" While Min Ki-hung was excitedly asking again, "There really?" As soon as that thought crossed her mind, she was startled, unconsciously scratching her face, trying to dispel the feeling of embarrassment. Fuji seems to have gotten closer too. At that moment, Ijeom's deep, cold voice rang out, breaking her train of thought. "Professor, you get in the car too? I'll take you home." Ijeom's car sped down the road. Sue sat in the car, her eyes wide, thinking in a panic, no, but why? She couldn't contain her confusion, silently screaming, "I'm the only one in the car." Ijeom was still focused on driving. His face was as calm as usual, while Sue turned her face to the window, not daring to look directly at him. In that awkwardness, the memory from in front of the coffee shop suddenly flooded back. She remembered when Min Ki-hung was smiling. Her phone suddenly rang with a notification. The girl exclaimed, "Oh my, there's a sudden emergency meeting for the student council." After saying that, Min Ki-hung hurriedly said goodbye. "Excuse me, you two be careful, he." Then she shot off like a rocket, leaving Sue and Ijeom standing frozen on the spot, not knowing what to do. Snapping out of her flashback, Sue cried silently in her heart. The person who actually needed a ride disappeared. Why am I the only one who got in the car? She secretly glanced at Ijeom, who was concentrating on driving, and wondered, but why isn't this guy saying anything? So awkward. Determined to break the silent atmosphere. Taking a deep breath, in that case, then she gathered all her courage and started with a somewhat pointless question. "Hey, is this your car? It's really nice." But Ijeom still didn't look at her, his eyes fixed on the road ahead, completely silent. Undeterred, Sue continued to chatter on through each stretch of road, trying to salvage the atmosphere. "It feels like just yesterday you were wearing a school uniform, and now you're driving. It's amazing." She forced a laugh and then said, "Do you remember you drove my father's car when you first got your driver's license? Dad still doesn't know the wheel rim got scratched then, right? Haha." However, she was met with a suffocating silence. Sue tried to force a smile and continued, "I heard you apologize to Min Ki-hung. You two seem much closer, haha, good job, you." But Ijeom remained silent, not saying a word. At this point, Sue had completely run out of ideas, not knowing what else to say. She froze, staring at Ijeom with wide eyes, then gave a dazed smile. "Hey, answer me. Am I performing a monologue here?" Suddenly, Ijeom turned the steering wheel, pulling the car over to the side of the road. Ijeom turned to her, his eyes cold, his deep, steady voice ringing out, "What's wrong with you?" Sue was stunned, not understanding what his sudden question meant, stammering, "Hawa, what?" Ijeom's voice was still steady, but vaguely held emotion. "I said I didn't care, what else?" Hearing that, Sue immediately understood. She thought to herself, "So he heard it. My words, I'll help back then." Her heart was in turmoil. She quickly spoke up, her voice hurried, that thing. But before she could continue, Ijeom cut her off, Ijeom looked straight at Sue. His voice was filled with choked up emotion. "Do you really not feel anything at all?" This time, Ijeom's usual cold face disappeared, replaced by a face with furrowed brows, his glistening eyes full of a pitiful look. He continued, his voice low but clear, "When I get close with Kim Min Ki-hung." That sentence made Sue panic. She stared at him with wide eyes, speechless. After a moment of contemplation, she regained her composure, her eyes showing a slight hesitation, but her voice was firm. Yeah. She paused, then continued in a calm tone. That has nothing to do with me now. Hearing her answer, Igium's face clearly showed sadness. His eyes darkened. The space in the car became frighteningly silent. The car was still rolling down the empty road, but the atmosphere inside was more suffocating than ever. Sue turned her face out the window, her eyes following the scenery outside. Her heart was a mess of emotions, while Igium just remained silent, focused on driving, but his mind seemed to be just as tangled as hers. The car turned right, speeding down the empty road before quickly stopping in front of a building. Sue opened the car door, about to get out, when Igium's voice spoke up, pulling her back. Ah, a wise Sue wait. He unbuckled his seatbelt, got out of the car, then handed her a small white paper bag. Take this. Sue took the bag, her eyes filled with confused curiosity. What is this? Igium replied in a calm voice, as if nothing had just happened. Your clothes. I told you I would wash them and give them to you. She smiled faintly, saying politely, Ah, thank you. I'll also bring your jacket back next class. Then she waved, forcing a smile. I'm going now. Thanks for the ride home. Igium watched her walk away, his eyes pensive, the feeling of sadness from before welling up again. Just before she could open the door, Igium suddenly called out loudly, Ly Sue. She was startled, her eyes wide. The memory continued, the scene appearing in her mind as she entered the apartment building. Just as she opened her door, Sue was still lost in thought about that moment. Remembering the look on Igium's face when he spoke, she sighed, why did he have to talk like that in the end, making a person worry? The image shifted back to when Igium called her, his face returning to the pitiful look from before, his brows furrowed, his eyes filled with indescribable emotion. He said, I like someone else now. Sue was stunned, standing motionless while Igium continued to speak. So don't help anymore. Igium's voice choked, his eyes pleading, I don't like it. Remembering his words, Sue walked into the apartment dejectedly, blaming herself. Ly Sue, you fool. You should have apologized first. It was because I was too flustered. But then, she suddenly cheered up when she saw her darling Jeong waiting for her. Sue bent down, her voice doting, Jeong, are you welcoming mommy home? But strangely, the expression on Jeong's face was one of panic and fear instead of joy. Not paying attention to it, she walked inside, seeing the living room lights still on. Her instinct made her blurt out, oh, you're here already. She was met with silence. As she got closer, the confusion on Sue's face gradually turned to fear, just like Jeong's expression earlier. She was so horrified she couldn't speak. Lying unconscious on the floor was Ha-min, his face pale, completely motionless. The horrifying scene made Sue scream loudly, honey. The mystical sky sparkled with countless stars. Below, a carousel slowly turned. A person walked leisurely in the cold night, muttering softly, John Hai. Haemin looked around in confusion. He wondered, where are you? In the distance, the hem of a long, blood-stained skirt fluttered gently. Haemin quickly turned towards it. He stood among the carousels, muttering softly, John Hai. John Hai had appeared behind him at some point. She replied coldly, right here, making Haemin's eyes widen in shock. He immediately turned his head to look behind him. Haemin was met with John Hai's face full of hatred. She growled an order, kill her quickly. Haemin was startled awake from the terrible nightmare. He gasped for breath in fear, not even noticing that the towel had fallen off. After a long while, Haemin still couldn't regain his composure, cold sweat pouring down like rain. Sue, sitting by the bed, was also startled awake. She rubbed her eyes, asking him in a sleepy voice, You're awake? Sue sat up, continuing to ask, Your body. Faced with her enthusiasm, Haemin just silently and quickly pulled her into a hug. His voice whispered in Sue's ear, Everything is fine now, because you're always by my side. Contrary to his calm voice, Haemin's face was still full of panic. Sue was confused by Haemin's sudden action. The next morning, warm sunlight gently flooded the room. Sue brought out a new basin of water. She exclaimed in surprise, Oh, you should sleep a little more. Why are you out here? Haemin enthusiastically reached out his hand, offering to help her. He made a quick excuse. I felt too stuffy just lying in bed. Give it. Here. His other hand gently placed the basin down. Sue looked at him worriedly. Let's go to the hospital now, okay? Haemin immediately rested his head on her lap, smiling as he replied, It's okay. Thanks to you, my fever has gone down. Ah, but how did you get into my room? My last memory was clearly in the living room. Sue sighed and asked back, You don't remember anything? Her memory gradually returned to last night. At that time, Haemin was lying exhausted on the floor. Sue cried out in alarm. honey. She urgently shook him. Honey, wake up. Seeing that he didn't respond, Sue quickly took out her phone. 119, call 119. A whispering voice was heard, Sue, and with it, Heyman's trembling hand gently grasped hers. Sue cried out in fear. Honey, Heyman tried his best to reassure her. I'm fine. Can you help me to my room? Heyman reached out to wipe the tears still on her eyes. Thinking up to that point, Sue couldn't help but fall silent for a long time. Suddenly she spoke, Honey, is something wrong? Heyman was slightly startled by that. Sue hesitated. Actually, I saw it at the exhibition. Heyman was completely stunned by this situation. His memory of the meeting between himself and Igium flooded back like a waterfall. Sue had just managed to call out, Honey, when Heyman quickly sat up. It was only when she asked further, You smoke, that Heyman was dumbfounded for a few seconds. He awkwardly let out a ha. Ah, you're talking about that? Ha ha. Sue, he said to him with confusion, We promised not to have secret from each other. So why did you hide it from me? Were you afraid I wouldn't be able to understand? Heyman scratched his head and gave a forced laugh. I'm sorry, I was probably a bit stressed while preparing for the exhibition. Ha ha. I suddenly craved a cigarette. Sorry for not telling you beforehand. Sue didn't focus much on that. She was worried about Heyman's health, so was fainting yesterday, also due to stress. Heyman hesitated to answer. Probably. I've been working a bit too hard. Sue suddenly threw up her hands. You fool. It would have been better if you had just told me from the start. Seeing her continuously hitting him with a pouting expression, Heyman gave a forced laugh. He cried out softly, ouch. I'm sorry. Sue continued, We promised to tell each other if we had any difficulties. Do you know how worried I was? Heyman muttered, It seems to be getting harder. Sue, I'm still patient. The sun gradually set behind the trees. Heyman and the cat Jang were still sound asleep on the warm bed. The pile of dirty dishes was still stacked in the sink. In contrast to the tragic state of the kitchen, the dining table was neatly and cleanly arranged. On the table were a few simple dishes, along with a note from Sue. Honey, I'm going home for a bit. Eat the porridge and get some rest. P.S. Don't go into the kitchen. On the street, cars were slowly rolling by. Sue held a bouquet of fresh flowers in her arms. She looked out from the bus window. She recalled a previous phone call. Her mother had gently instructed, Daughter, come home for a bit this week. Sue replied softly, I'm busy this week. I can't come back. Her mother insisted, You have to come back even if you're busy. She looked at her husband, sitting dejectedly in the room, and told Sue, Lately I don't know if your father's mood has changed because of old age or if he's worried because you're getting married soon. Recently, every night he goes into your room, looks at pictures of you when you were little and cries. Sue, thinking about it now, clicked her tongue, telling herself, Dad is really something. The flowers in her hand swayed gently. The evening sky was tinged pink by the sunset. Sue's familiar house gradually came into view. She happily waved and shouted, Dad, Mom, I'm home. As she said this, she suddenly froze stiff. It turned out that in front of her right now, Igium was covered in soot from the kitchen. He was grilling food while softly welcoming her. Oh, you're here? Sue's mouth fell open in astonishment. She trembled as she approached and asked, Why are you in my house? Igium calmly didn't bother to answer. A cheerful voice rang out, Oh my, Sue. Igium's mother appeared. She continued to talk nonstop. How long has it been? Why is it so hard to see you these days? I'm so happy to see you here. Oh my goodness. Sue stammered in reply, Hello. What? She was secretly terrified, Igium's mother. At this moment, her own mother appeared, casually asking, Daughter, you're here. Oh, what kind of flowers are those? It must have been hard for you to come here. Her attitude made her tremble with anger. Mom. She gritted her teeth and pointed at Igium in the distance. This guy. You didn't say we had guests, ha ha ha. Her mother replied nonchalantly, Oh, this child, why are you being so distant? How is Igium a guest? Ho ho. Looking back, her house was right next to his. Her mother even kept emphasizing, We live right next door, so close that if you fall over, you'll run into each other. The two mothers linked arms and said in unison, Oh ho ho, like this we're family, aren't we? Sue glared at this, while Igium in the distance just focused on grilling the meat, not paying any attention to this side. Sue knelt down and thought to herself, That's right, I completely forgot we've lived next to each other. The two fathers were on the other side preparing fruit and asking each other. It seems like Igium's dad is getting better and better. Ho ho ho. Igium's dad also replied cheerfully. Ho ho ho. It's Sue's dad who is. A terrified scream suddenly rang out, making both fathers so startled they threw all the fruit away. Sue's tears streamed down. She resentfully raised her head and lamented, "On this vast planet, why is SEO Igium everywhere I go?" Her mother looked on and muttered in confusion, "What's wrong with her?" Sue's scream still echoed through the heavens. Why on earth? The dining table was set. Sue ate dejectedly while the others around her chatted animatedly. Suddenly, someone rushed over and stuffed vegetables and meat into her mouth. Sue's father looked at her with eyes full of love. "Daughter, you have to eat both vegetables and meat to be healthy, right?" Sue, while chewing the meat, scowled and glanced to the side, mimicking Ri. "Have to be healthy, right? That way, even if I'm furious, I can still live a long life, right?" However, the target of her death glare had been calmly grilling meat all this time. Sue's mother suddenly waved him over, which annoyed her greatly. "Igium, stop grilling and come eat." Igium replied politely, "Yes, Auntie, I'll just finish grilling this." His mother stood up and offered, "Oh my son, come here and eat. Let me grill for you." A hand suddenly grabbed her arm. Igium's father called softly, "Janghua, don't do it. You'll spill the fire again like last time and burn the whole yard. How about you just sit still?" "Ho ho ho." She smiled and exclaimed softly, "Oh my, ho ho ho, isn't that nice?" Sue commented cheerfully, "You two are still as passionate as ever, aren't you?" She replied, "Your aunt and I are always like that." "Ah, you don't remember at all? Are you watching your figure before the wedding? Why haven't you been home lately?" Sue was a bit awkward. "Well, that." Her mother suddenly poked Sue's cheek. She teased cheerfully, "What do you mean watching your figure? With a face like this, you look so chubby already." Sue cried out in embarrassment. Mom." She just sighed and replied, "I'm not deaf yet. Speak softer, this child." Igium's mother clinked glasses with her and then turned to Sue. "You look fine. What's wrong?" Her mother sighed softly. "What do you mean fine? With these arms, how are you going to wear a wedding dress?" "Oh my goodness." Sue, being shaken violently by her mother, wanted to surrender. Don't shake anymore." Igium's mother said again, "What's wrong with it? It's great. If you gain weight, your face gets bigger too. So, when you film the wedding video, the bride's face will be the biggest." She clasped her hands happily as she dreamed of that scene, like the main character, right? Sue heard this and cried her eyes out. "Auntie, you're on my side, right? But why are the tears still flowing?" Sue's mother suddenly noticed something. "Ah, but is your fiancé very busy while the mothers are gossiping?" While the fathers were still happily raising their glasses and drinking, Igium's mother also chimed in. "Yeah, where's the handsome groom that you came alone today?" Her mother then suggested, "If he's not busy, call him over. We have premium Korean beef today." Sue hesitated a bit. That. Igium heard this and looked up to see what she was going to say. Sue thought to herself, "To be honest, Mom will be worried." She scratched her head and looked for an excuse. "Because I saw that you seemed busy, I deliberately didn't say anything. Next time I'll definitely bring you." Igium on one side listened silently to their conversation. Sue's mother sighed softly. "What? Well, there's no other way then." Sue also laughed and replied, "Haha, next time I'll definitely call you." Someone suddenly took the grilling tongs from Igium's hand. It was his father. He laughed and said, "Igium, you go eat too. Dad will grill the rest." He then sat down flustered. "Ah, yes." His mother suddenly became serious and said, "Sue, when choosing a life partner, you don't need anything else." Sue and her father couldn't help but pay attention to this. Igium's mother sternly raised a finger, her voice low as she advised, "The face, you only need to look at that one thing." Sue's jaw dropped when she heard this. She thought of her husband's handsome appearance, constantly cooing. When you get older, there are few things to laugh about, but if he's handsome, just looking at his face makes you laugh naturally. Even if you argue, just looking at his face makes your anger melt away like snow. Sue was dumbfounded and reminded her, "But your husband isn't just handsome." She turned to her husband, smiling as if she had won the lottery. "That's why I pursued that handsome man for several years to win him over, right?" Sue also chimed in. Oh, I admire you so much, Annie." Igium's mother closed her eyes in reminiscence. "Jihan was not an easy guy to win over. At first he rejected me fiercely." Sue's mother followed up by sticking out her tongue and teasing. "Oh, that's right. Before you dated Jihan, I heard you pursued him relentlessly, just like Sue pursued Igium back in the day." Sue shouted in embarrassment. "Mom, why are you bringing up old stories?" Her father on the side seemed to hesitate, wanting to say something but holding back. He looked at his wife and thought to himself, "My spoiled child at home probably likes handsome guys, too." Then her father turned his eyes to the distance and stared at Igium's father. He had sparkling eyes, a model-like figure, a broad chest, and a handsome, pleasant face. Sue's father looked back at his own, slightly chubby figure and thought to himself, compared to him, his beer belly was something Sue's father was always. self-conscious about. He drank another cup, unable to cry. I'll just eat my fill and die today. Sue's mother noticed his actions from afar. She smiled softly, showing that she knew. She spoke softly, but thinking about it, cute men are still the best, right? What was it? They say when you find someone cute, the game is over. She rested her chin on her hand and admired her husband. Sue's father was moved and called out, "Honey." Ijeom's mother also added, "Ha ha ha, that's right. That makes sense. There's no escape from cute." Sue's mother sighed. So, in the face of cuteness, everyone has to surrender. While everyone was having fun, Sue's mother suddenly waved her over. Move to the side. Sue's father also took the opportunity to squeeze in between, coming to his wife's side and smiling. Hee hee. The couple was still as passionate as in the beginning. Sue's father leaned on his wife and whined, "Oomph," while her mother put on a cool expression and smirked. Sue got goosebumps seeing this. Even though they're my parents, really. Ijeom's mother then spoke up. "Sue, actually, at first, when I heard you were getting married, I was a little sad." Ijeom was very surprised to hear this and immediately went into gossip mode. She scratched her face in embarrassment and continued, "I thought you would marry my Ijeom. You know I adore you, right?" Ijeom, at the side, gently reminded her, "Mom, why are you suddenly talking about such nonsense?" She pouted and teased. "What if I like her? Can't I say I like her?" Sue's mother saw this and cheerfully chimed in. "I'm only saying this today because your fiancé isn't here. I also thought you two would get married for real back then." Our Sue liked Ijeom a lot. Sue couldn't help but think about the past, and Ijeom also seemed sad. The two mothers clinked glasses again and gossiped. "So if that had happened, you and I could have chosen wedding dresses together and then travel with our in-laws. It would have been so much fun." It seems like she wanted to become in-laws, hoping we would get married. Anyway, that's all in the past. "Oh my, you finished all the salads so quickly." Seeing the empty plate, Sue's mother exclaimed in surprise. Ijeom proactively stood up. I'll go get more." His mother didn't pay much attention to her son, just said to her husband, "All right, my love, you can drink a little more with me." Sue's mother replied to Ijeom, "Is that so? Thank you." Ijeom, in such a noisy space, only Sue sat sullenly in a corner. She ate while glancing at Ijeom's back. His mother then leaned over and whispered to her, "That's Sue. Is Ijeom seeing someone at school?" Sue couldn't help but be shocked. "What? Ijeom has a girlfriend?" Ijeom's mother said again. "Shoo, I'm not sure about that. Yesterday, before he went to school, the boy woke up at the crack of dawn and even fussed over his hair and clothes." Sue's mother immediately jumped into gossip. Oh my, Ijeom isn't that type of person." Ijeom's mother also agreed. "I thought the same thing." Sue rested her chin on her hand and reminisced. "Yesterday, at that time Ijeom was sitting with Min Kyung." Sue told herself, "No wonder I thought he looked a little different than usual. Going to school? If it's not Min Kyung, then who could it be?" Ijeom's mother nervously smoothed her hair. "Actually, I'm really worried too. At his age, I've never seen Ijeom date. As a mother, to be honest, I'm a little worried. I just think my son's taste is a bit different from others." Ijeom's dad, seeing her complain, comforted her. "It's okay, as long as Ijeom likes it. That's all that matters." Sue's mom exclaimed softly, "Oh my mind is really..." "Sue, you go get some lettuce too." She asked back, annoyed, "Why'd I have to go?" "You just told CEO Ijeom to go." Her mom, thinking of him fumbling around in the fridge, explained, "I haven't finished organizing the groceries today, so the fridge is a mess. Ijeom might not be able to find the lettuce." Sue's mind was in a whirl. She sighed softly. "Oh my God, what a pain." Her mom shouted, "Go on, you girl." Sue walked helplessly into the house, muttering to herself, "You should have just told me to go in the first place then. Oh my God, Mom always makes me do things twice." Suddenly she stopped, staring straight ahead. Inside the house, Ijeom was standing there motionless. She called out softly, "Hey CEO Ijeom, what are you doing?" Ijeom remained silent, not answering. She approached curiously. "What are you looking at that's got you so frozen?" When she got closer, they both stared wide-eyed in shock, their mouths hanging open. In front of them, on the table, were fruits carved into many amusing shapes. Ijeom commented softly, "Isn't this a zoo? Should we report this to the World of Wonders program?" Sue corrected him. "It should be Memories of a Master." Ijeom was taken aback. "But why are you here?" Sue let out a soft, "Ah." She opened the fridge, muttering, "Mom said you probably wouldn't know where the lettuce is, so she told me to come check." Ijeom snatched the bag she was holding. "Hey, let me wash it. I don't trust you." Sue froze behind him, sighing, "Seriously, you think I can't even wash lettuce? Or what?" Ijeom's hands were still deftly taking lettuce out of the bag. Sue came up beside him and suggested, "Then let's do it together." He immediately reminded her, "Your hands will get cold. Mine are already wet, so let me wash it." all of it, Sue quickly teased. Are your hands made of steel or something? Cold is cold. It's the same for both of us. She watched him separate each leaf under the running water silently, thinking, what's with him? Sue sighed, washing vegetables, and you're sitting here washing them one leaf at a time. Huh, just give them a quick rinse. It won't kill anyone. Igium couldn't help but chuckle at that. The cleanly washed lettuce leaves were arranged neatly on a tray. Igium carried the tray of vegetables and slowly headed outside with Sue. He looked at her bedroom door and let out a soft, oh. Sue saw him casually push the door open and was horrified. What are you doing? Why are you just barging into someone else's room? A neat bed with a small teddy bear and a tidy study corner came into view. Igium exclaimed softly, wow, your room is exactly the same as it was 6 years ago. He placed a tray of vegetables on the table. Sue sighed softly. Of course, do you think a thrifty woman like Eun-young would throw anything away? No way. Do you remember this doll? Igium picked up the teddy bear, replying nostalgically, this is the one you won for me at the amusement park on my 19th birthday. Sue giggled. Wow, your memory is really good. He replied, of course. How could I forget that? With that, he gently put the bear down. Sue reminded him, hey, stop looking around and let's go. Our moms are waiting for the lettuce. Igium nodded. You go first. Sue took the initiative and pulled his collar. What is there to even look at? That's enough. Let's go together now. Igium's gaze fell on a glass jar full of paper cranes, and he let out a soft sound. Didn't you fold these paper cranes to give to me? But why are they in your room? As he spoke, Igium caressed the glass jar. Sue gave a strained laugh. Ah, it's a long and dramatic story. I did originally fold them for you, but at the time I had a wish I absolutely had to grant, so I gifted them to myself. Hearing that, he sighed softly. Seriously, hey, who gives a gift and then takes it back? Sue replied nonchalantly, but I hadn't given it to you yet, so it doesn't count. Igium asked curiously, what was the wish? She comfortably stretched out on the bed, humming softly. That's just how it is. How could you understand my profound heart? Of mine. After saying that, her heart skipped a beat. Sue called out softly, hey, see-o Igium about yesterday? I'm sorry. Hearing her say that, he turned to face her. Igium asked back, what about it? Sue, flustered, turned her face away, thinking about how she decided to help Min-kyung on her own without considering him. The truth is, she thought back to that moment. Min-kyung had placed a glass of water on the table and said, Professor, you've probably noticed already, but I like Igium's Sunbi. In my 20 years of life, this is the first time I've felt this way. I fell for him at first sight. Sue was quite flustered. Oh, is that so? But why are you telling me this? Min-kyung confessed frankly. I really want to get to know and be with Sunbae. Sue suddenly understood. Ah, so that's what this is about. Min-kyung continued. So before that, I have an important question for you, Professor. Professor, is there really nothing going on between you and him? Sue looked quite surprised. Huh. Min-kyung looked serious. This is a very important matter to me, so please answer me. Hearing that, she was a bit troubled. Well, that is, under Min-kyung's intense stare, she didn't know how to answer. Finally, Sue decided to give a vague answer. There's nothing between us. Hearing that, Min-kyung put her glass down firmly on the table. She said happily, what a relief. Then you can help me, right, Professor? Sue was a bit flustered to hear that. Min-kyung became even more insistent with her idea. Please help me get together with Igium's Sunbi. At this, Sue sighed softly, rubbing her head in frustration. I just thought that if I refused, it might lead to an unpleasant misunderstanding, so that's why I did it. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm explaining all this, but I really had no intention of actually helping her. You also said you like someone else. Igium suddenly cut her off. Since you've gone this far to explain, I'll forgive you. Sue couldn't help but stare at him with wide eyes. She jumped up happily, really? Igium suddenly added. In exchange, he held out a pink notebook. Let me see this. Sue was completely stunned. She frantically tried to get the notebook back. No, don't look. You absolutely can't look at that. But the more she reached for it, the higher Igium held it. He dodged her all over the place, teasing her. What's wrong? You said you were sorry. Sue retorted. I said no, and I mean no. Give it a dash. Before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly tripped. Sue immediately fell, accidentally pulling Igium down with her. Feeling the pull of gravity more clearly than ever, he let out a soft sound. Sue also stared wide-eyed at the awkward predicament. Meanwhile, outside, both families were chatting animatedly. Sue's dad saw her mom looking for something and asked, Honey, what's wrong? She replied, It's nothing. The kids are taking a long time to come back. Igium's dad guessed. The kids probably can't find the lettuce. His mom replied nonchalantly, They're probably out in the garden picking lettuce. Don't worry about it. Have a drink. But Sue's mom still insisted on getting up. This won't do. I'll go and see what's happening. At that moment, the room was filled with a suggestive atmosphere. Sue's and Igium's legs were pressed tightly together, their bodies also flush against each other. Sue stared blankly at Igium lying beneath her, and both fell silent. Sue gave a forced laugh to salvage the situation. That's why I told you not to look. Suddenly, he reached his hand around her back. Igium spoke softly. Aren't you curious? Sue was stunned to hear that. Igium continued. About who it is that I like? Suddenly, a voice from outside the door made Sue jump. Kids. The voice continued to call out, Are you in here? Hearing it, both of them froze, cold sweat pouring down their faces. Sue's mom pushed the door and entered. Kids. Her eyes suddenly widened. You too. A sharp voice suddenly rang out. Is this all you can do? Don't just strain your neck. Engage your core. Keep your head and spine aligned. Exhale on the way up. Inhale on the way down. It turned out the two were salvaging the situation by pretending to exercise. Igium kept doing sit-ups enthusiastically and then not, stopping to pant. Sue's mom was truly speechless at this situation. What on earth are you two doing right now? Sue feigned surprise. Huh? Mom, when did you get here? Hahu. This guy suddenly said his stomach felt full. He said he needed to exercise a bit, so I was helping him. Igium, while rubbing his stomach, added, I think my food is digesting a little now, right? Sue's mom sighed wearily. I thought my daughter was the strangest person in the world, but Igium, you're not normal either. She reached out and took the tray of lettuce. As she was leaving, she didn't forget to remind them, stop digesting and come out right now. Igium and Sue gave a forced laugh as they saw her off. Once she was gone, both of them let out a sigh of relief. Phew! Sue tiredly flopped on a bed. Wow, my heart really almost jumped out of my chest. Igium was also covered in cold sweat. He held his hand out to her and said, Grab on, we have to go now. Sue took his hand, using the leverage to sit up. Igium spoke again, what I said earlier. If you're curious, just ask. If you ask, I'll tell you. Late in the quiet night, the elaborately carved fruit was laid out on the table. Sue poked at it with her fork, thinking to herself, why is it? At first, I was definitely curious who it was, but now that he's telling me to ask, I can't seem to get the words out. Could it be? She thought about the recent events. What if, just as she had the thought, she shyly dismissed it? So, are you really crazy? Don't you know who C.O. Igium is? He's the guy who rejected your confessions for 19 years. As she thought this, she unconsciously poked her hand with her fork. And yet not a single phone call. For 6 years, he comes back and suddenly, but why can't I pick up this piece of apple? A timid voice spoke up. Her dad, on the verge of tears. Can you please stop stabbing my hand? Only then was Sue startled back to reality. I'm sorry. Her dad, with teary eyes, clutched his hand. Hick, that really hurts. Sue waved her hands in embarrassment. I said I'm sorry. The entire scene fell into Igium's line of sight. A while later, Igium's mom was completely drunk. She lay comfortably on his dad's back. It's okay. You can carry me. Sue's mom asked with some concern. Ji-hoon, are you okay? He replied, I'm fine. My house is right nearby. What about you, Eun-young? Are you okay? At that moment, Sue's mom was supporting her husband's entire body with one arm. She even gave a thumbs up to show she was fine. He's lighter than I thought, so this is no problem at all. A hand suddenly rose with a moaning sound. Igium's mom suddenly yelled, Hey, C.O. Igium, you punk. Why did you just disappear like that 6 years ago? If you hadn't done that. Igium fell silent for a long time upon hearing this. His mom, teary-eyed, if you hadn't done that. Sue would have been my daughter-in-law, and Eun-young would have been my family. As she said this, she cried even harder. Igium helplessly rubbed his forehead. And Mom, please. Aunt, Uncle, we're so sorry. We have to go now. His mom was still muttering sadly. Son, you ruined all of my plans, Meanwhile, Sue's mom waved her hand, signaling, Hurry up and go. She also turned to Sue and said, Janhwa and Sue get along so well, don't they? Thinking about the old days, she would lean on her and cry her eyes out. Auntie, C.O. Igium rejected me again. This is the 345th and 500-something time. She would also hug her and cry along. Boo-hoo, that mean boy, don't cry, Sue. But what was the reason for the rejection this time? Thinking of this, Sue chuckled. Oh, really? Time flew by, and Sue went to the door. She didn't forget to say goodbye. Mom, I'm leaving now. Her mom sighed and advised her. It's late, just sleep over. Sue gave an awkward laugh. I'm a bit worried because I left him at home alone. She gently wiped her eyes and clicked her tongue in admiration. My daughter, since when did you grow up so much that you're already at marrying age? I've packed some food for you. Go home and eat with your future husband. As she spoke, she held out a bag of food. Seeing this, Sue was deeply moved. She threw herself into her mother's arms, hugging her tightly. You've aged so much, Mom. Her mom sighed softly. Oh dear, why are you suddenly saying such things? Everyone gets old, don't they? You said you were taking a taxi, so hurry and go, or you'll be late. She hugged the bag of food but still looked around. Where's Dad? Her mom shook her head. Your dad woke up a while ago, but she thought of. The sight of her husband crying a river of tears. Sob, Sue. Then she said to her, your dad couldn't bear to watch you leave. He was already tearing up. He's probably crying now. Sue exclaimed softly, oh Dad. Once outside, Sue's mom didn't forget to remind her, daughter, be careful. Call us when you get there. She replied, yes, I'm going now. Mom, you should hurry inside. Sue headed out to the main road. Suddenly, her eyes widened in astonishment. It turned out Ijeom was already waiting outside with his car. Sue asked, stunned, why are you here? He replied straightforwardly, get in, I'll take you home. The car slowly rolled onto the main road. Sue was a little shy. Ahem, I could have just taken a taxi. Ijeom said in a soft voice, it's dangerous to travel alone this late. Hearing that, she didn't argue, just said, yes, thank you. Suddenly, she caught a faint scent. Sue thought to herself, this scent. She glanced curiously at Ijeom. It's shampoo. And come to think of it, this guy. She noticed Ijeom's hair was styled, his face was clean, and his clothes were different from before. She immediately pointed out the oddity. Hey, did you just take a shower? Seeing that she had guessed right, Ijeom's face turned beet red. He exclaimed in embarrassment. Huh? Sue keenly observed. What's with your hair? Did you put wax in it too? Ijeom shyly and hastily smoothed his hair and made an excuse. What are you talking about? Have you forgotten? My hair is naturally stiff. She smiled slyly. Hey, even if we ignore the past 6 years, I've known you for 23 years. I can tell just by looking whether you've styled your hair or not. You'd have an easier time tricking a ghost. Realizing she had said too much, she suddenly paused, thinking to herself, oh. She recalled what his mother had said. Ijeom, is there someone you like at school? Yesterday, before leaving for school, from early in the morning, he was so meticulous about his hair and clothes. Sue hesitated, telling herself, it can't be, right? How could CO Ijeom possibly like me? Just then, he suddenly spoke. Do you like it? Sue jumped and recoiled. What? Me? You like me? Seeing her reaction, he asked again. What are you talking about? I was asking if you like red bean paste or fish-shaped pastry. She was taken aback, and feeling so embarrassed, she could only force a laugh. Red bean fish-shaped pastry, is that it? I like the red bean one. As soon as she said that, Ijeom pushed the car door open to get out. Your preference is still the same. Huh? Got it. Wait here a moment. He walked over to a small roadside stall. Sue sat quietly in the car, peeking outside. She watched intently as Ijeom bought the fish-shaped pastry outside. When he returned with the pastry, Sue exclaimed softly, wow. As soon as Ijeom sat down, he told her, hurry and try one. They were just made, so they're still hot. Sue replied quickly, oh, thank you. Ijeom hummed happily. Winter isn't even here yet, but they're already selling fish-shaped pastry. Sue added, you really like fish-shaped pastry, don't you? He said, but fish-shaped pastry is your favorite. We used to buy and eat it together all the time. Sue, while eating, mumbled in reply, is that so? Ijeom smiled and asked her, so is it good? Sue thought to herself, no, it can't be. Even though he's a bit grumpy, he's always been very friendly. Suddenly, quick as a flash, Ijeom used his hand to wipe away the red bean filling left on her cheek and licked his finger. Sue practically froze at the sudden action. She stood there stiffly, thinking about the sound it made. Lick, lick, lick. It wasn't until Ijeom called out, hey, why are you spacing out like that? That Sue came to her senses and rubbed her cheek. Huh? Ijeom reminded her. We're at your place, get out. Only then did she realize with a start, gasp. When did we get here? Yes, thank you. Ijeom glanced in the rearview mirror and saw the bag she had left behind. He grabbed it, got out, and called after her, hey, you forgot this. Suddenly, he froze in place. It turned out that Sue and Heyman were standing affectionately in front of the house, checking on each other. Heyman shot him a cold, sharp glare. Ijeom calmly looked in their direction. Heyman stood beside Sue. Heyman looked at him with an inscrutable expression and spoke first. We're meeting for the first time. Heyman's hand tightened on Sue's shoulder. I've heard a lot about you. You're Ijeom, right? Ijeom looked at him with unfriendly eyes and replied coolly, yes, hello. Inside Heyman's house, Sue asked him in surprise, what is it? My mom. Heyman took the food containers out of the bag and answered her gently. Yes, it seems your mom was worried. She called and said you should be arriving soon and asked if I could come out to meet you. Sue was flustered. Ah, really? But then he paused, his tone turning more serious. But why were you with CO Igium? Sue was a little surprised by his question. She stared blankly. Huh? Heyman asked again. Igium, he said he'd bring you home? Sue began to regain her composure and quickly explained. Ah, he lives right next door. His dad drank a lot today, and it was getting late and could be dangerous, so Igium's dad probably told him to drive me. She lowered her head, her voice a mumble. I'm sorry. For what? Heyman asked calmly. She explained for going to my parents' house without telling you, and for having CO Igium bring me home. I'm sorry for not telling you beforehand. Heyman comforted her. It's okay. You just didn't want to worry me since I was sick. He said this while putting the food in the fridge. Besides, taking a taxi that late isn't safe. This was better. She came closer and hugged him from behind. Honey, how are you feeling now? Are you any better? Heyman turned to look at her and smiled. Yes, Sue. After eating the porridge you made for me, I feel completely fine now. Sue was overjoyed. Really? Thank goodness. The two were affectionately wrapped up in each other. Scene change. It was now night, and the traffic light had turned red. The only car on the road stopped. Igium looked pensively into the rearview mirror while waiting for the light. Suddenly, he remembered something. He let out a self-deprecating sigh and readjusted the mirror. Staring at his face in the mirror, he wondered, what am I doing? At the same time, but on a different street, a young man was still sitting and waiting at a bus. Stop. It was Songjun. He wore a hood pulled low over his face, his head bowed as if deep in thought. He was suddenly distracted by the sound of a car horn. A car parked on the other side of the road, across from him. Jeremy stepped out of the car. Songjun wanted to rush across the street to her. It's Jeremy. Suddenly, a man's voice made him jump. Ms. Jeremy. Kong Yu smiled and handed her a suitcase. You forgot this. The two of them laughed and talked cheerfully. He also told her, please get home safely. Thank you for today as well. Jeremy also replied happily. Yes, thank you. Kong Yu, you worked hard too. Songjun fell silent, unhappy at seeing this scene. The car drove away, and from across the street, Jeremy saw Songjun. She was delighted by the coincidence and couldn't help but call out loudly, honey. The two of them returned to their familiar home together, where delicious fried chicken was already laid out. The couple clinked their glasses, toasting to a long day's work. Jeremy said with a laugh, you work hard today too. Jun Song quickly waved it off. You're the one who worked hard. She rested her chin on her knees, looking at him with an endearing gaze. What's with showing up unannounced? Did you want to see me that badly? Songjun couldn't resist her cuteness and pinched her cheek. Well, I came because I missed you. Jeremy looked at him. Waiting at my place on a cold night like this? You must have been waiting outside for a long time, haven't you? He sighed. It's been really hard for us to see each other lately because of the film set. She admitted that's right. This is my first time working full-time on a set. I didn't expect it to be this busy. Jeremy munched deliciously on a chicken leg. The actors are really amazing. They film from early in the morning until late the next day, but when the camera is rolling, they act as if nothing's wrong. They're really so talented. An image of Kong Yu appeared on the TV, and she excitedly showed him, honey, look. The reaction to this was huge. Jeremy proudly showed off her work. Kong Yu's face looks great, right? I did that makeup. Songjun gave her a thumbs up in praise. Great job. Encouraged by her boyfriend's praise, Jeremy became even more animated, right? During that shoot, even the director praised how good he looked. Songjun suddenly grew pensive. Jeremy, of course, didn't notice the change in his expression. She continued her story. Even though it's busy, it was the right decision. If my schedule works out, I've been asked to work on the next shoot too. If it's a case like this, Songjun suddenly interrupted. Honey. He hesitated. Jeremy, not knowing what he wanted to say, replied, yes? He said slowly, there's something. Then he recalled a conversation from earlier that day. A man was holding his hand, and the atmosphere between them seemed tense. I'm sorry, but only until next month. Please make the arrangements. The number of kindergarten students has dropped sharply lately. Songjun said worriedly, sir, but if it's this sudden. Before he could finish, the man continued. I'm sorry. The centers around here are also struggling and have had to close. You know this. Songjun, didn't you say you wanted to marry your girlfriend? You're 30 now. Shouldn't you find a more stable job? Those words kept echoing in his head. Jeremy grew impatient and called out to him. Songjun. It startled him. Huh? She asked him again. Didn't you have something you wanted to say? Song Joon fell silent, unsure if he should say anything. In the end, he chose to keep it a secret. He cheerfully raised his glass to toast with her. "Ah, I just wanted to say congratulations." The next day, the sun was up, but Jeremy was still sleeping soundly. She turned over and felt around, but Song Joon was nowhere to be found. She woke up. Jeremy sat up, dazed, and called out unconsciously, "Joon." On the table was a small note he had left. It read, "I had something to take care of, so I had to leave early. Sorry I couldn't say a proper goodbye." At that moment, downstairs from the apartment building, the sound of violent retching came from the bathroom. Song Joon was struggling with a wave of nausea. He sighed wearily, turned, and was about to leave. Jeremy's voice suddenly cut in. I knew this would happen again. He jumped. Jeremy appeared and walked closer to him. "I've told you this before, haven't I?" Her eyes filled with resentful tears as she angrily reproached him. "If something is wrong, please tell me. Don't just endure it alone." The atmosphere between them was now incredibly bleak. Seeing her crying out of heartache, Song Joon comforted her. "Jeremy, I'm sorry." He continued to console her. "So please, don't cry anymore." Jeremy said resentfully, "Why didn't you tell me things were difficult?" Her hands trembled uncontrollably as she reproached him. "Why do you always endure things alone like this?" As if it were the last straw, she looked straight into Song Joon's eyes and demanded, "Why do you always make me the one who doesn't know anything?" Jeremy asked helplessly just why. On the film set, everything was being carefully prepared for the day's shoot. Kanye looked surprised and said hesitantly, "Ms. Jeremy." Seeing her eyes so swollen she could barely see, he had to ask, "Did you eat ramen before going to sleep last night?" Jeremy, not wanting him to know she'd been crying, made an excuse. "I think a mosquito bit me while I was sleeping yesterday." Kang Yu, in all his years, had never seen a case like this and retorted, "That doesn't look like a mosquito bite. Something happened, didn't it?" She continued to deny it. It's not that. Why do you ask such things?" She felt the man in front of her was not so simple. "Kang Yu, I'm just now realizing you're a murderer with that question mark." Over on the side, a crew member announced loudly, moving on to the next scene. The conversation was cut short, but Kang Yu didn't give up. "We'll talk more in a bit." Outside the film set, the sky was tinged with the colors of sunset, but the shoot wasn't over. Cut. "Okay, we'll take an hour's break, and then continue." During the break, Jeremy planned, "I have to touch up the makeup." Suddenly, she bumped into someone and cried out, "Ah!" Due to the unexpected impact, her legs began to wobble. Jeremy screamed, certain she was about to fall, ah? But the other person caught her in time. She said in a panic, "I'm sorry." Kang Yu, seeing she didn't recognize him, spoke up, "Ms. Jeremy, it's me, Lee Kang Yu." Realizing the person she had bumped into was Kang Yu, she quickly pulled away from his arms and said shyly, "Oh, it's you, Kang Yu. I'm sorry. I can't see very well right now." His expression grew worried. "What is it? Can't you tell me?" Hearing this, Jeremy was a little surprised, fearing she didn't understand his intention. Kang Yu clearly stated what he had been holding back. "I'm worried about you, Ms. Jeremy. So worried that I can't focus on my work. Please." The two of them sat down to talk. She said, flustered, "I'm sorry. I made you worry for nothing." He replied, "Not at all." Jamie thought to herself, if the person working with me all day is constantly out of it, it will surely make others notice. That wouldn't be good. To avoid affecting her work, she decided to speak up about her problem. Actually, she confided, "I had a fight with my boyfriend yesterday." Kanye was extremely startled. "Boyfriend?" His somewhat intense reaction surprised Jamie. "You scared me. Why are you so surprised? Do I look like someone who wouldn't have a boyfriend?" He quickly tried to explain, that's not it. Kang Yu's face couldn't hide his disappointment. He gave a faint smile. "So it's true, you really have one, a boyfriend." Mentioning the one she loved, Jamie smiled happily. "Yes, he's very handsome, super cool, upright, and kind." Despite the sharp pain in his left chest, he still replied, "I see, but why?" Sensing empathy from Kang Yu, Jamie began to share. "When my boyfriend runs into difficulties, he tends not to tell me, whereas I tell my boyfriend everything, whether it's a happy or sad matter." Thinking about what Song Joon had been through, her eyes looked sad. He always endures hardships on his own. Song Joon has always been like that. On the day of the match that year, Jamie sat in the stands, her face horrified as she exclaimed, "Song Joon." Down on the fighting floor, he was repeatedly hitting his opponent's face with his bare hands. Even when that happened during the national team selection match. Another time, when Song Joon was walking alone on a deserted road. From behind, she called out, "Song Joon," startling him and making him turn around. Even when he fought with his dad and ran away from home, he always endured it alone, and every time, I continuously waited for Song Joon. She sighed, "Am I still not reliable enough?" Kang Yu turned his face away, his expression briefly flustered. "Your boyfriend is still childish, isn't he?" his face gradually turning red. He hesitated. If it were me, I definitely, absolutely wouldn't be like that. Jamie was surprised, her eyes wide. Pardon. Kang Yu rubbed his neck to ease his own awkwardness. Maybe that person, not talking about his difficulties, is because he wants what's best for you, Jamie. Our job is like that. He smiled and pointed to his face. Here, this is a cut I accidentally got while shaving this morning. Didn't you? Jamie, cover it all up with makeup. There's no trace left. We always hide our weaknesses in front of the camera, and just like how we only want to show a perfect image, your boyfriend also only wants to show a good image, don't you think? Kanyu continued, of course, if it were me, I would tell you everything, Jamie, but the sincere words made Jamie realize many things. She took his hand. Thank you so much, Kanyu. Jamie's hands clasped tightly. I was truly comforted by what you just said, Kanyu. Kanyu's face flushed red from the unexpected intimate gesture. He was so embarrassed his hands trembled and he couldn't say a word. Meanwhile, Jamie, feeling as if a tangled knot in her heart had been untied, was extremely excited. Today after work, I will definitely make up with my boyfriend. The voice of a film crew member echoed. Jamie, could you come here for a moment? She replied cheerfully, yes, manager, I'm coming. She left, but Kanyu remained motionless. His face grew redder like a tomato, making outsiders misunderstand. As expected of an actor, his expression, wow, it's like he just received a confession or something. The skin on Kanyu's hand that Jamie had touched was beaded with sweat. He stared at his hand without blinking, thinking to himself, what I just did, wasn't that almost a confession? Under the full moon, the dark apartment was sunk in silence. Seo Young Jun sighed, standing outside with his head bowed quietly. I miss you so much, you Jamie. Not far away, Jamie stood with her arms crossed, speaking sternly. What are you doing there? Startling him, she continued to question, what are you doing in front of my house? He explained awkwardly. Well, that. After regaining his composure, Seo Young Jun answered clearly, I came because I missed you. I saw the lights were off, so I thought you were asleep and was about to leave. Before he could finish, Jamie shouted angrily, what? She was all too familiar with his way of making up after their fights. You're saying you came all this way and we're just going to leave? If you came, you should have come up and apologized. Weren't you going to say that you missed me? Seo Young Jun put on a pitiful look. Jamie, determined not to be softened by that look. She turned sharply away, not forgetting to ask him, are you doing that again? Jamie had figured out his reconciliation tactic. He shook his head vigorously. No, from now on it won't be like that anymore. Jamie warned him directly, you try that one more time, and it'll be 100 head taps, no 1,000. He had no choice but to accept. Okay, thank you. Seo Young Jun, the sorrow has been lifted. She chatted happily, I'll forgive you. Instead, stay at my place tonight before you go. I've never once thought about us breaking up. Seeing her looking much brighter put Seo Young Jun at ease. He replied, is that okay too? We love each other like this. How could we ever break up? I will be happy with him forever. The apartment was lit up under the starry night sky. Heyman announced as soon as he entered the house, I'm home. His face was aghast at the scene before him. Sue, what on earth is going on? Hearing his call, Sue turned to look at him with teary eyes. Brother, no matter how hard I look, I can't find that shirt. He quickly asked, which shirt? The one I borrowed to wear last time. She replied. Heyman's expression flickered with panic when Sue mentioned it. Seo Igium's shirt. Standing in front of Igium, Sue said awkwardly, Seo Igium. She quickly held out an envelope in front of him, her eyes avoiding his. You should take this. Igium looked at the scene, slightly surprised. Sue's image now was exactly like years ago when she gave him a love letter. Taking the envelope, Igium looked expectant. What is this? She answered immediately, money for that shirt. He was dumbfounded with surprise upon hearing that. Knowing she was at fault, Sue clasped her hands and confessed, I'm sorry, I accidentally lost the shirt you lent me. Igium was stunned. Afraid he would blame her, she continued to explain, I've searched the whole house but still can't find it. I don't know if it grew legs or something, but the bottom line is I don't know where it went. Igium froze on the spot, disappointed inside, right? What were you expecting? Si Uiyum. He sighed, and besides, it seemed Igium had already guessed who the culprit was. It's obvious who did this. Meanwhile, Sue grew more anxious. Seeing that he looked angry, was that his favorite shirt? Thinking she had lost Igium's precious item, she continued to apologize. I'm really sorry. If I buy the exact same product, that should be fine, right? He reassured her. It's okay. You can't buy it again anyway. Sue panicked. Why? Igium explained gently. I bought that one abroad. Hearing the word abroad, she panicked even more. What should I do? Was it very hard to buy? He replied. I don't remember which store it was either. She exclaimed, oh my God. She felt guilty. I'm really sorry. Igium continued to sigh. It's okay. Sue suddenly had an idea. How about? She made a sudden offer to make up for her mistake. I'll do whatever you ask. He was silent for a moment, starting to calculate in his mind. Anything? Igium suddenly leaned his face close to hers and asked, You just said you'd do whatever I want, right? Sue was startled. Well. He stood with his hands on his hips looking at her. In that case, Sue was worried. Could it be hard labor? Igium suggested, Today, you will be my servant. His strange request left Sue speechless, unable to react. Once the information reached her brain, she shouted, What? Sue's face went blank as she thought, muttering, A servant? In the clothing store, Igium was on a shopping spree. Get me this. While Sue, carrying bags in both hands, her whole body exhausted. So he really meant a servant. As if tormenting her wasn't enough, he continued, Get this one too. She finally couldn't take it anymore and yelled, That's enough, you little punk. While Igium was leisurely and comfortably looking around, Sue, walking beside him, was so tired she couldn't speak. She recalled what Igium had said in the past. Who is the person I like? Aren't you curious? She thought to herself, I was already feeling uncomfortable about that day, so I was planning to return his things and keep a clear distance. But looking at the back of the boy in front of her being warmly welcomed by a female employee, Please come in. She asked herself, what kind of boy would make the girl he likes carry things for him? Finding the reasoning, she came up with two sound. Sue, scoffed, as expected. I was clearly just mistaken that day. Over here, the female employee enthusiastically praised. It looks great on you. This person continued to shower him with praise while handing Igium a very colorful shirt. Your face is already handsome, so it looks very good. He replied nonchalantly. Oh, is that so? The female employee continued to eagerly promote. I'll get you a new one. Sue couldn't stand this fashion sense. She immediately pulled Igium away. Sorry, but we'll take another look around and come back later. He asked her innocently, why? Sue couldn't help but reply, because the clothes there aren't nice and the prices are ridiculously expensive. Igium himself didn't care much about whether the clothes were nice or not. The main thing was to torment her a little. He pretended to think. Really? I thought they were fine. She sighed, not knowing the truth. Oh my, if you don't want to get ripped off today, just buy whatever I pick for you. Sue looked at Igium in the outfit she chose, nodding. Ahem. Then, she brought another pile of clothes and suggested, try all of these on. Seeing him pose in a green flared blouse, Sue's face showed clear disdain. She carefully evaluated each outfit. This one is better. Seeing her so focused on the task, Igium felt very happy. The moment they were together now was so peaceful. Sue was drained of energy, her legs trembling. She whined. Shopping for so long is so tiring. I'm so hungry. Looking at her state now made Igium feel a little guilty. I went a bit too far with my joke. She's been helping the whole time. Give me the shopping bags. Before he could finish his sentence, Sue immediately dashed off at lightning speed. Hey that. As if she had never been tired, she exclaimed. This shirt looks so much like Apis. Ignoring Igium, who was standing frozen on this side, he sighed, a little sulky. I take back what I just said. Igium was a little jealous. Let's go, I'm hungry, she pleaded. Oh, what a waste, just look at this. He was adamant. Eat first, look later, and put the stuff in the car. Looking at the menu with eye-catching and expensive dishes, Sue was hesitant. What should we eat? She asked in a low voice. I've completed my job as a servant today, so you'll pay for my meal, right? Igium replied cheerfully. Yeah, choose whatever you want to eat. Hearing that, she didn't hold back and ordered several dishes at once. Great, I'll have a shrimp cream pasta, coconut shrimp, and snow cheese fries. The waiter mentioned an additional promotion. If you order a steak, you'll get a free glass of Ade. Would you like one? Sue turned to ask him. CEO Igium, what do you want to drink? She was surprised to hear Igium's reply. I'll have a mango juice. Different from what Sue remembered about Igium, she wondered, why? Don't you hate mangoes? Did your taste change because you're older now? Igium didn't look at her, replying casually. You like mango Ade. She rested her chin on her hand and teased. You're really something. You remember everything. He handed her the napkin he had prepared. His eyes were serious as he said, Why? You don't like it anymore? Seemingly understanding the deep meaning in his words, Sue was stunned. She smiled, replying gently, No. Then she reached out to take the napkin. I like it. I've always liked it. After the meal, Sue patted her stomach, saying happily, I think my stomach's going to burst. Thanks for the meal, CEO Igium. Seemingly remembering something, Sue looked regretful. My apple likes coconut shrimp too, right? I should have gotten it to go. Seeing her standing near the escalator, Igium warned. Be careful. Look where you're going. A child suddenly ran over. "Mommy, wait for me." Unfortunately, he bumped into Sue-A, startling her. The unexpected impact made her lose her balance and lurch forward. Igium's face was horrified. An image of a blood-covered Sue-A flashed in his mind. Lying on the floor, he lunged forward and held her tightly in his arms to prevent that from happening again. Igium's sudden action surprised her. Sue quickly pushed him away, crying out in embarrassment. Her hand still on Igium's shoulders, she stammered. That scared me." Suddenly, he collapsed to the ground to Sue-A's astonishment. Igium was in so much pain, he was gasping for breath. Huff, huff. His current state worried Sue-A. "Hey, I'm sorry. Did I push you that hard?" Igium. His pupils dilated, and Igium found it increasingly difficult to breathe. Huff, huff, huff. She realized the situation was more serious than she thought. "Hey, Igium, are you okay?" Sue-A's voice trembled. Igium. After resting for a moment, she handed Igium a bottle of water. "Drink some water." Igium sat on the bench and took it from her hand, not forgetting to say, "Thank you." Sue-A sat down beside him, asking with concern, "Are you sure you don't need to go to the hospital?" He didn't want to reveal the truth about his return to the past, so he reassured her. "I get like this sometimes. I'm fine now." She felt that Igium's health was not as simple as he said. She was skeptical. Could it be because of the surgery you had before, that it left some side effects? Igium tried to change the subject. "It's not like that. Don't worry about it. And look at your ankle. Lie Sue-A." Her ankle was swollen. She wondered, why did my ankle suddenly get like this? He explained, "You probably sprained it when you almost fell earlier." Sue felt a little embarrassed. "You're worrying too much. I told you I'm really fine." Just then, a Kako Talk message from Heyman arrived. She stood up to leave. "Are you really okay?" "My brother is here, so I'll be going now." Igium didn't say anything, but suddenly grabbed Sue-A's hand. The familiar warmth that he longed for lingered on his skin. Igium expressed sincerely, "Don't go, actually, I'm not okay at all." She pulled her hand back. "Why? Are you hurt somewhere?" Igium bowed his head, hesitating for a moment. "Because of you, I'm going crazy with jealousy." His attitude and words startled Sue. "What do you mean?" His feelings for her, Igium couldn't hide them anymore. He gathered all his courage to confess. "The person I like is you, Lie Sue." The sound of cars whizzed by in the night. Heyman spoke in a gentle voice. "Sue-A." He turned to look at her and asked with a smile, "What should we eat tonight?" She was resting her chin on her hand. Looking out the car window, she was pensively watching the buildings that were quickly passing by her eyes. He wiped the smile off his face, looking at her with somewhat disappointed eyes. She was still staring blankly into the distance. She remembered that was when she and Igium were talking to each other. Then suddenly she turned her face away. She said as she walked, "You must have arrived. I really have to go." A soft voice made her steps falter. He said, "I like you, Sue. You feel the same way as me." She stopped in surprise. Her hands clenched. She said, "Then you shouldn't have left like that 6 years ago." Then she walked away decisively. He reached his hand out towards her, as if he wanted to say something more, but she had already left. His face full of disappointment and regret, he told himself, "Let's just pretend I didn't hear anything today." The continuous sound of the running faucet seemed to blend with her sad mood. She sat huddled in a corner of the bathroom. She thought, "I thought I really didn't feel anything anymore. It's just one sentence." Her tears fell softly. She thought again. The words, "I like you." She remembered that scene again. He was confessing his heart to her. "I like you." Just remembering that made her heart think. The emotions that I thought I had definitely cleaned up suddenly exploded all at once. The sound of the water was still flowing steadily. The tub seemed about to be filled. In a flash, she confessed to herself in her heart, "Actually, maybe I've never forgotten CO Igium even for a moment." Darkness enveloped the bedroom. Heyman was turned away from her, while her two eyes were still open, staring thoughtfully at the ceiling. In her head, she couldn't stop the thoughts that were running wild. "It's nothing, just a little bit." The two of them turned their backs to each other, surely each chasing their own thoughts. She thought again, like a fleeting emotion. A new day began at school. Class was over. A voice rang out. "You all worked hard." Students left the room in droves with the familiar question, "What should we eat?" She was standing and organizing a stack of documents. As she was working, a voice called out, "Professor." She turned her face to see it was Igium. He said, "Talk to me for a bit." She said nothing, just looked at him with cold eyes. He still tried to plead, just for a moment. Then she replied, "Fine, I have something to say too." The sky today was clear and blue. The two were talking behind the school. He asked hesitantly, "What?" She still looked at him with soulless eyes. She said, "I'll say it again. From now on, let's act like we don't know each other." He was extremely shocked and surprised. He asked again in confusion, "Why? Because I like you?" Still with those same eyes, she replied decisively, Yeah. He unconsciously stepped towards her while saying, Sue, I don't expect anything from you, so let's just be like before. She replied with annoyance. I feel uncomfortable seeing you. Igium's face seemed to freeze as he asked mechanically, so you can't just pretend this never happened? She gritted her teeth, saying softly under her breath, so selfish. How could you? She covered her face with her hands and said, 6 years ago, or now, do you always only think of yourself? He seemed frozen, staring at her. Then he looked at the palm of his hand again. On his hand that was starting to tremble, there was an infinity symbol on his ring finger. He remembered a memory from 6 years ago. At the airport, he was talking on the phone with someone. That person said, Did you get to the airport safely? He replied coldly, Yeah. That person said again, Have a safe trip. Remember to take care of your health. He replied, Yeah, you live well too. That person said again, Oh, and as you asked, I didn't say anything to Jamie either. He replied while pulling his suitcase. Thank you. After a moment's hesitation, the person on the phone continued, Hey, but are you really not going to say anything to Lee Sua and just leave like that? After a moment's thought, he replied briefly, Yeah. Back to the present, Sua's words woke his mind. I'm getting married soon. His heart seemed to stop for a moment. She turned her face away and said quickly, That day 6 years ago, I had already sorted out my feelings. She said as she walked steadily. So, you should quickly sort out your feelings. 2. He seemed unable to accept this reality. He quickly replied, Sua, I can't grant your request. I will continue to like you. I don't expect you to feel the same way. Then he placed his hand on his chest and continued with a smile. It's just me liking you just doing that. Suddenly, someone's shadow flickered in the bushes. It turned out to be 2 students, Kyutae and Min Kyung. Min Kyung asked, Kyutae, what are they talking about? Can you hear clearly? He replied, No, not very clearly. Min Kyung suddenly turned to look at him, startling him. Right? You can't hear clearly either, right? He crossed his arms, so embarrassed his face was as red as a ripe tomato. Seeing this, she asked, Hey, are you not feeling well? He stammered, That's not it. In his head, he wanted to scream. T2 close. Seeing that, she said, My face feels like it's going to explode now. His face still red, he replied. There was a bug on your shoulder. Hearing that, she immediately jumped up and brushed off both her shoulders, shouting, where is it still there? He replied, It's gone now. Hearing that, she was completely relieved and sat back in her original spot. She said, Phew, that scared me. The 2 of them suddenly froze for a second. Sua and Ijayam were looking at them with annoyed and scrutinizing eyes. The 2 of them were at a loss for words. Min Kyung smiled and scratched her head, saying, Hello. As for Kyutae, he was picked up by her like a puppy. The 2 of them were sweating buckets. Min Kyung said hesitantly, Fancy meeting you all here? Ha 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 ha. But in their hearts, they were crying silently and thinking, We're screwed. The boy introduced himself. My name is Kyutae. In elementary, middle, and high school, I never once missed being first in the entire school. Normal kids would socialize with friends or be at an age where they show intense interest in dating. He looked thoughtful. To me, such emotions were just boring and tasteless until I went to college and met her. He began to return to the memory of that day. In a library, the atmosphere was extremely quiet. Only the soft sound of pages turning could be heard. That day, he came to borrow a book. The manager reminded him, Please return it within a week. He replied, Yes. Before he could finish saying, Thank you, he suddenly bumped into a girl. The collision caused the book to fall to the ground with a thud. Kyutae heavily adjusted his glasses, silently cursing. Ow, what idiot is running around carelessly in the sacred library? He picked up the book, his face showing annoyance. How shameful. When he looked up, the first thing he saw was the pitiful appearance of Min Kyung. She was crying and saying, Sorry, Bahu Sob, are you okay? Kyutae immediately became flustered. Crying? She hadn't stopped sobbing. Sob. Book 2 is hard to read, so it's a bit difficult, but in the end, in Book 3, there's a scene where Zarathustra says chara chara chach chach cha, so you must be patient and read until the end. As she spoke, Min Kyung said goodbye. Kyutae was dazed, frozen for 5 seconds. He exclaimed, She finished this difficult book already? That's faster than me. When he got home and started reading the book, he realized that what she said was true. He read attentively until late. Kyutae commented, Book 3 was so hard to read that turning each page was like torture, but Book 3's scenery was so wonderful and spectacular that it made me stay up all night for a day to finish it. Reading the last page of Book 3, I realized that I liked her. The boy fell into deep thought. This feeling gradually grew, and since some point, my gaze naturally turned towards her. As a result, I realized some truths. She's in the same physics department as me, admitted as the salutatorian. Currently, we're both in the student council and department representative, and when she's stressed, she relieves it by reading in the library. Liking someone but not daring to confess not daring to pursue. Kyutae always paid attention to her every move. One day, he even saw her shyly say to another guy, "Senior, do you want to do the major group project with me? I have reference materials too." He continued to reminisce, including the fact that she currently has someone she likes. That senior replied coldly, "I'm not doing it with you, not doing anything." Min Kyung was sad to hear that. Moreover, it was also a very bad, unrequited love. At that time, Kyutae really wanted to do something for her. No way, right? Why talk so coldly like that? Couldn't he have refused gently? Min Kyung looked very sad. Is there any way I can help? Then he had an idea. Kyutae imagined a theater scene. They were talking together. He asked, "Senior, will you do the group project with me? I'll be the group leader." The other person agreed. "Yeah, sure." Suddenly, he turned and said, "Ego, a very unavoidable natural disaster has occurred. Min Kyung, can you be the group leader for me?" And so, that connected the two of them as a pair. He thought happily, after I asked Senior Ijayam to do the group project together, I just need to say that something came up and transfer the group leader position to Min Kyung. That was the plan, but in reality, a problem arose. He wondered, but what should I say? The problem came from himself. No friends, no social skills either. Kyutae stood in front of the mirror preparing. Since this is just practice, let's try it. Calmly. The first sentence was sweet. "Senior Ijayam." The next was full of indignation. "I sincerely invite you to do the group project with me." Standing there for a long time without being able to say a proper sentence, he thought helplessly, this won't work. This is more like a threat. Let's try with a gentler expression and look a bit more emotional. His voice suddenly became strangely cute. "Senior Ijayam, will you do the group project with me?" His voice suddenly changed to excited. "Senior, let's do the group project enthusiastically, shall we?" Aish. Suddenly, from behind, Min Kyung's voice rang out. "What are you doing?" He screamed in surprise. "Ah," she asked friendly. "You're in Kyutae, right?" Admitted as the valedictorian. She chatted cheerfully. "Because of you, I was pushed down to the salutatorian position, so I remember your name clearly." Kyungtae's heart fluttered. His face unknowingly flushed red. "Min Kyung, she knows me." She asked again, puzzled. "But what are you doing here?" The boy was suddenly startled, not knowing what to say. That. The girl was determined to ask why he had been standing in front of the mirror alone all this time, calling Senior Ijayam's name. As Ki Hong-tae stood there frozen, "Could it be I've been found out? What to do? What should I say now?" Min Kyung continued, "Don't tell me you." Before she could finish, he yelled, "Well, I like him." Both of them were stunned into silence. The atmosphere suddenly became extremely awkward. Seeing someone's silhouette, Min Kyung was startled and turned away. She pulled him along, hiding in a corner. It turned out to be Senior Ijayam. Ki Hong-tae let out an ah. "Min Kyung spoke you." She asked, "You like Senior Ijayam too?" Her expression showed no hint of prejudice at all. He suddenly froze. Then for some reason, he also replied, "Ah, yeah, that's right, I like him, it seems so." He thought to himself, instead of being found out and treated horribly, this misunderstanding seems better. The girl suddenly grabbed his hand and said excitedly, "Then let's be companions in our one-sided love for Senior Ijayam." Ki Hong-tae nodded. Yeah. He asked again, bewildered. "No, what kind of companions in one-sided love?" The girl quickly replied, "People with one-sided crushes will exchange information, encourage each other, and compete in a healthy way." With a cute face, she spoke again, "You'll do it, right?" Ki Hong-tae's face was now as red as a tomato. Finally, he replied, "Okay." The girl happily continued, "All right. And so, for now, the story of the past ends here." Facing the two people in front of him, he was a little scared, not expecting things to get this big. Sua frowned and asked, "You too, what are you doing here?" Min Kyung stammered that thing, her heart was currently in turmoil. "We just made up, I can't become more distant from Senior Ijayam." Rather than that, thinking this, she suddenly clung to Ki Hong-tae's arm. Her expression changed, and she said, "We're dating. Since we're classmates in the same department, we came here to meet secretly." Ki Hong-tae, blushing furiously, stammered, "Min Kyung ah." The girl bowed and quickly escaped from this awkward situation. "Well then, I'll be leaving first." Sua and Ijayam were stunned, still unable to process this situation. What just happened? After walking for a while, Min Kyung spoke first. "I'm sorry." Her voice started to choke up, but telling the whole truth, isn't it better than both of us being labeled as stalkers by our senior, right? She continued, "If so, then our one-sided love really and truly ends today, doesn't it?" Ki Hong-tae had been so surprised up to this point that he hadn't been able to utter a single word. The atmosphere on this side was just as awkward. Sua spoke up, "I'm leaving now." Ijayam called out, bewildered, "Hey, Isuya." She walked away coldly, without looking back, leaving only one word, "Please." Don't say anything more. I'm asking you. These words made Ijeom endlessly sad, his eyes filled with regret. The scene now shifts to the wedding venue. The MC formally invites. The bride enters in the wedding hall, filled with the lively chatter and laughter of the guests. On the wedding invitation on the board, the time and the names of the bride and groom are clearly written. The door to the room opens. Sua, Jamie, and Seongjin enter, beaming with joy. Congratulations on your marriage. Sujin, congratulations on the wedding. Seeing the three of them arrive, Sujin turned and said with a smile, "You guys are here. Of course we had to come. Today is the wedding of the class president and vice president." In the bride's waiting room, the laughter of the four of them echoed throughout the room. "Sujina, you look so beautiful today." "Thanks everyone. I'm so embarrassed. It's been so long since we've all met like this. Hasn't it?" Sua cried streams of tears. She said, "Do you know how sad I was at first when I thought I didn't get an invitation?" "Ah, that's right. At that time I was waiting for your reply on Kakao Talk, but didn't get a response, so I thought you must be very busy. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't asked Jamie then. Who would have thought it was an old contact number? Right?" Although just a few minutes ago, Sua was crying sadly, a few minutes later she was cheerful. Sua held the invitation up high, speaking with a proud look. "Even though it was a bit late, I finally got the invitation. Now I have an invitation too. So let's go take a picture." Sujin leaned over, peering at her with a puzzled look. "But what about Seo Ijeom?" Seongjin picked up his phone to check the time. At the same moment a voice was heard. "Seems like he's stuck in traffic. Sorry for being late." Sua turned to look in the direction of the voice. Ijeom raised his hand to look at his watch, walking over with an expressionless face. He looked up and said, "Have you all been waiting long?" Jamie leaned her arm on the back of the chair, waving at Ijeom. "Not at all, you're right on time. Hurry up and come here." "That's right, we were just about to take a picture. It's been a while since we've seen you." Seo Ijeom. Ijeom's face darkened. He looked straight at Sua, who was talking. Ijeom walked behind the chair. He nodded to greet Sujin. The girl saw that and also smiled and nodded back. "That's right, it's been a long time. Congratulations on your wedding." The photographer raised the camera to get ready to shoot. "All right, I'm taking the picture. The young man who just arrived. Can you go stand next to the girl on the left?" "Huh." Ijeom could only look down and listen. "You have to stand so the composition is balanced for the picture to be beautiful." "Okay." He turned to look at her with an emotionless face and said, "Come over here. Hurry up. Everyone is waiting. When are we taking a picture?" Ijeom listened to Sua and moved next to her. "Ah, well then." Everyone smiled brightly and posed for the picture. Only Ijeom and Sua had sullen faces. The two stood next to each other with expressionless faces. The food was ready. "Wow, everything looks so delicious and smells amazing." Sob sob. Sua and Jamie ate while crying. "Why do I feel so sad every time I go to a wedding? I mean the class president and vice president. Since when did they grow up and get married? No way. It seems they really enjoy eating after going through a sad time." Seongjin saw this and took a napkin to wipe her tears. "Jamie, stop crying and eat, or you'll get a stomachache." "Okay, my love." Sua turned to glance at the napkin being held down by a hand. Ijeom saw she wanted to get a napkin, so he removed his hand and turned away. Sua didn't mind. She turned back to pull a napkin from the table. Thinking back, you two, don't you see each other often in class at school?" Seongjin wondered while eating. Jamie saw this and chimed in. "How come you don't say a word to each other? Yeah, you two seem close. Now you seem more awkward than before." Hearing that, she became flustered. "Haha, does it look that way? I still can't tell Jamie about that." While they were talking, Songguk and Sujin walked over. "Hey kids, you're here. You four are still the same." Everyone was happy to see the soon-to-be married couple approach. "Congratulations on the wedding. Looking sharp, new groom. Thank you." Seongjin was stunned by Songguk's question. "You guys don't have any good news yet?" "Huh. You've been together for over 10 years. When are you getting married?" He shyly scratched his neck. That. Jamie looked up at Seongjin's expression. She stood up and hugged his arm, saying happily, "Right now we're still focusing on our careers, so we haven't thought about it. Anyway, June and I'll try to work until we have enough money. Then we'll do it." Songguk wondered, scratching his face. Sujin saw this and nudged him in the stomach. "But wouldn't it be better to do it sooner? As for the finances, what's so good about getting married early? To hear the kids call you auntie and uncle sooner? Then you guys shouldn't rush to get married. Just date for a long time. Now that the bride is married, you can say anything you want." Seongjin's eyes sadly watched Jamie laughing and talking happily. Sujin also turned to ask her, "Oh right, Sua said she's getting married too. congratulations. Yeah, I only have about 2 months left. Suddenly, the sound of applause rang out. Songguk clapped his hands smugly, saying to a confused Su, wow, Lee Su, you finally did it, what the hell? He laughed loudly and said, that's right, it seems like you two were already married back in school. Everyone except me saw it that way, right? CO Igium's nickname is Mr. Batinsky, and if it's about SUA, he definitely has to get involved. As long as it's about SUA, he's ready to run out right in the middle of class. Everyone. Igium spoke up to clarify, shocking both Songguk and Sujian. The person SUA is marrying is someone else, not me. Huh? He and the girl both apologized awkwardly to her. Sorry, Sueya, I really didn't know that. It's okay, it's normal to be mistaken, but you two really do look good together. While they were chatting, Songguk's mother arrived. Sujiana, Songguk, come here. Ah, yes, that must be his mother. We'll go ahead. I have to go. Thank you for coming. She saw the two of them in a hurry and burst out laughing. They haven't changed at all. Seongjin opened his mouth to invite everyone for a drink. When Jamie heard that, her eyes lit up. Ah, it's been a while since we all met. Let's go for a few drinks today, huh? Sue asked blankly. Today? Okay. Jamie came closer to her. She coaxed Sue. Sueya, you should come too. It's been 6 years since we've all gathered like this. Please, please, please. I'm sorry, but I have plans to eat with my appa after his meeting is over. When Seongjin heard that, he immediately had a bright idea. Well then, you could just ask Heyman to come along. Problem solved. Hearing that, she froze. Huh. In a corner of the restaurant, the brown color scheme made the atmosphere even cozier. 5 glasses of beer clinked together. Cheers. Seongjin held his beer glass and said to Heyman, this is the first time you've met us, right? Hearing that, he smiled gently and said, not really. We've met before. Last time, Igium brought Sue all the way to my house. Ah, is that so? The atmosphere immediately became awkward. Jamie's laughter broke the tension. She said cheerfully, ha ha ha, there are some of us you're meeting for the first time. Jamie offered her idea to liven up the atmosphere and get to know each other better. Shall we play a drinking game? Oh, that's a good idea. Well then, how about a truth game? Thank you for watching today's video. Our story continues with many exciting developments ahead. So don't forget to press like and subscribe to the channel to support us and not miss the latest episodes. We wish you moments of relaxation and fun. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.